Welcome to the Non-Sequitur Show. Continual watching beyond this point may result in terminal face palming and a complete loss of wokeness. You have been warned.
All right, welcome everyone. It is the Non-Sequitur Show, and it has been a day. I don't know, it's been about a week or something. But I am doing a show today. It wasn't a show that I expected to do, and not one typical of this particular channel. This channel really hasn't dived into politics that much. I did do a show with Chris, aka Hereticals, atheist pastor, what he used to be known as, and I did a show called Over and Under, which was political commentary way back in the day on Trump's running for political candidacy in 2016? Was it? I think it was. Was it about that? No, it was no. Well, yeah, wasn't it? Has it been that long? Hasn't been that long. No, it could have been that long.
Well, I mean, I got a couple of things to say about the 2016 one. Go on.
But it hasn't been that long. I think it has been. Holy cow! Anyways, though, it's been a day. So recent events yesterday transpired, as people are well aware, of historical proportion. And just today, there's been some activity on Twitter from a person who's been on this channel, Destiny, a ultra left-leaning influencer, somebody who I really don't recall having much interactions with. I know he's been on the show, but I don't even know if I was on that show with him. I don't even remember. It's been so long. But some of the things he has said on Twitter, I have severe umbrage with, and so I wanted to do a show on Non Sequitur about it, and I brought in a friend of mine. His name is, well, I'll let you introduce yourself. You tell him about yourself, man.
Oh wow. Yeah. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm known as TheSilencedOne on X. I'm also you tell him Steve Dave or StevDez in the chat that you're seeing right there on YouTube. I saw everything going on, and there's been a lot of things thrown around X, especially following the blatant assassination attempt. It was.
And I noticed that you'll call it that, but for some reason CNN and the Washington Post won't use that word, or didn't use that word.
Well, because they know as soon as they decide to throw the word assassination out there, oh well, we don't want Trump to be as popular as other presidents who's we don't want to relate him to the likes of Abraham Lincoln or JFK or anything.
They knew they had to eventually. They knew they just couldn't put it on the table. They couldn't just hand wave that away. And a matter of fact, when you have two news organizations as powerful as CNN and the Washington Post, they have people that are professional writers. These people know what they're doing. They are masters of manipulation of the media. I mean, not just them, but every single solitary media organization. Any journalist knows that words have power. And this is what we're going to be talking about when it comes to Destiny, which I will make it very clear to my audience. I am not wanting Destiny's fans to come over here. I am not doing this for Destiny's fans. I am doing this for my subscribers. I am not going to be crapping on Destiny for anything more than what he has said, not as a person, not for his proclivities, not for his, anything else other than what we're going to be discussing today. So I don't need Destiny's fanboys coming over here, just doing what they do, because if they're not interested in listening to what we have to say, then that means nothing to me, because it's all about the content, in my opinion, right?
Right, and I'll go ahead and mirror that. Yeah, we're after the context here. And reflecting on events that have happened, we're not going after the person.
So let me start by this. Destiny. Okay, so Destiny has been up all night long apparently, and he's just been, what I said, obliterating his credibility overnight, whatever credibility he had. What I think kind of started this off is is this tweet right here. He says, if we learn anything today, I hope it's a realization of the importance of principles I've stressed many times on stream before. Having a firearm means absolutely nothing if you don't spend time at the range practicing with it. That,
to a degree, yeah, okay. To a degree, I see where he's coming from.
do you see what he's implying here?
Yeah, I see what he's implying, especially after the fact, after the near assassination.
Yes.
He
literally is saying that this guy didn't practice and therefore he missed Trump and that he should have practiced more. That, to put that on social media, I am just flabbergasted.
The timing is awful. Like, I hear this argument all the time from people who are super pro 2A, right? Where if you don't spend the time practicing at the range, well, guess what? You're a loot box for anybody that wants to come up to you and stab you. You know, they'll take your gun and they'll probably do something worse.
Right, but he's insinuating that he should have practiced more, so he would have not missed. Is what he's insinuating.
Having the timing of this tweet right after Trump almost gets killed by a firearm means we know exactly what you're saying.
Exactly.
Destiny.
Exactly. I mean, the liberal mask has been fallen away. I mean, and it's not even And by the way, yes, if somebody says if Destiny was a comic, he said it was a good joke. Which, by the way, I wouldn't find it funny, but it's hard to pass this off as a joke. Especially considering the other things that he added onto this. If this was merely a bad joke, that's one thing. You can recover from a bad joke, right? You can say, look, this was a bad joke. You can recover from that. But he's already lost thousands of followers already on Twitter. He started. I saw the other day he was at, like, what was it? Let me see what he was at. Because I remember he was at 2,000. He was at 1,050.5 is when I last looked. So he was at 251.5. So he's lost 1,000 followers at least. He's lost 1,000 followers. Yeah, he has a quarter mil. Yeah, he has a quarter mil. Yeah.
Not to mention his banner doesn't help anything. Today we fuck shit up. Okay.
Yeah. So I wrote this, and I'm going to read this if you don't mind. Actually, you know what? You read it. You have a better voice than me. Can you see it? I want somebody else to read it.
This is just absolutely morally evil and sick, even for Destiny. Our political system should never be corrupted and above anything else, regardless of your loathing attempt and bitter hate you have for a political candidate. We must have fair elections, free of those trying to assassinate political candidates. The far left has handed Trump this election on a silver platter by completely removing their masks and making it explicitly clear they want to see Trump killed, proving that Trump was right. As I've said, this is the words of Steve McRae. As I've said, I'm no fan of Trump, and I believe he, too, has tried to usurp the political process. But what has transpired yesterday was not just an attack on Trump. It was an attack on America, regardless of your political views or leanings. Destiny is still trying to do his usual edgy, over-the-top, hyperbolic, rhetorian act, not giving a single damn that innocent lives were lost yesterday. In fact, he was actually seemingly joyful an innocent bystander lost their lives during the shooting. While I believe that there is no recovering from that type of lack of empathy, what is left of his fan base openly supports assassination attempts and the death of Americans on U.S. soil by homegrown terrorists. And if that isn't disturbing to you, then something is psychologically wrong with you, too.
Yeah, this is real quick. All these people I tagged have, I think all but one have spoken out already about Destiny. And by the way, for the comment section, I'm going to get to the Republicans too. I am well aware that the shooter was a Republican. Yeah. I am not just going to trash on liberals. I'm going to be trashing on the Republicans too. But both Biden and Trump. I'm an equal opportunity here, man. I'm center. I don't have political leanings left or right for the most part. I am doing this unbiased as possible. Well, no, I am biased. I'm going to say I'm not biased, but I mean I'm going to do it fairly. There's a difference.
Yes, and I think the best place to be is not, if someone tries to call you a centrist, you say, well, no, there's good and bad, and depending on what's good, I'll support it. Depending on what's bad, I'll hate it. Simple as that. It not affiliating yourself with a political party is what will confuse all these people wanting to group you into a political party.
Correct. And why does this not change here?
Okay. I see obliterating
yeah,
probability
I
overnight.
don't know why.
Okay.
One sec.
Technical issues means it's going to be a good show, people.
Oh yeah, well that's commonplace on here. I mean that's just par for the
yeah.
course. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. I lost my operator. Let's see here. There we go.
In the meantime, share it out on all your social medias. The show going up, and
that's not it either.
smash the like button for the YouTubes.
Where'd it go? I literally lost it on here. StreamYards. Well, this is weird. We're still in StreamYards, right? Correct?
It's not even showing on the YouTube.
All right, let me fix this. I got this. I've done this before.
Just unplug and plug the TV screen back in.
StreamYards, no. All right, well, anyways, here we go. I got it. I just need it. There we go. All right, sorry about that.
All right.
Issues. All right, so moving on here. So Destiny continued to go on and say, a person in a crowd cheering for and supporting a traitor to this country caught astray. I'm so sad, please. Now let's think about this. I'll read this one because this one's personal. I am an American. I fought for this country. I served my time in the United States military. I did, a single tour with 3 deployments. So I am somebody who does believe very strongly in constitutional rights, First and Second Amendments and things of all that nature. But Destiny doesn't realize that the person who was shot was an innocent person, regardless of their political leanings. They were an American. And so I wrote, Destiny is absolutely obliterating his credibility overnight, and is currently still losing it in real time. I've never really put much stock into Trump derangement syndrome being a, quote, real mental condition, but if TDS is a real thing, then Destiny is a textbook case study. An innocent person died yesterday. Regardless of what may or may have been their political views, they were an American. And I'm repeating this. They were an American. The lack of empathy that Destiny has for that person who died merely because they were a Trump supporter is absolutely mind-blowing. That is not sustainable. That is not sustainable as a content creator or an influencer.
Well, because you said the magic word, Steve. You said Trump. And that's exactly how Trump derangement syndrome works. Now, I've been saying it for years. Everybody that puts way too much stock in what a politician, a businessman, hell, even an actor in Hollywood say, they are surrendering their own thought processes to say that this person and everything that they stand for is bad. Well, if you say that a politician, if you say that an actor is bad, then that means every single movie and every single fan that goes to see that movie is bad. If you say that a businessman is bad, then every single business that businessman gets money from is bad. If you say that a politician is bad, then you say that everyone that wants to vote or support that politician in any way, shape, or form to the point of using their name is bad. And that's exactly what we saw with this event. Some guy decided to try to kill Trump. I'm going to say President Trump because he was a president. He's a former president.
Yes, fine.
Yeah, the person that tried to kill President Trump, there's 2 things that these people don't realize. One, bullets keep going.
Yeah,
bullets are going to keep going until they hit something, and they hit one American, killed him, and 2 other Americans who are currently in critical condition. So the fact that someone said Trump, that's all these people are focusing. Trump almost got killed? Oh, man, Trump almost got killed. Not even caring of the fact that there were Americans in that crossfire.
100%. The diminished capacity for empathy just is absolutely mind-blowing. And And you're right. Bullets do travel. From what I understand, the shooter was about 148 yards away. This is the last thing I saw. That, and I forgot to look it up, but I'm guessing that's probably a little under 200 meters. If I can do.
we've heard several different things where it was 125 yards, 190 yards, 150. I think it was 150 yards about.
Okay.
And so that is roughly 450 feet.
That's no okay. Well, that's about 140 meters then, give or take. 130, 140 meters, somewhere in that ballpark.
140 meter, yeah, for the
Okay.
for the
Okay,
for the
so
metric users.
a good rifle has easily 200 meter range. A Remington 223, 200 meters is nothing. I mean, that's just that's point blank almost. I mean, granted, it's a good thing that he missed, but he could have literally taken somebody out if it was a well.
What happened to that person in the audience where the surgeon trying to save the person's life said that he saw gray matter? That could have been Trump.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of these people are very sad about, is that they didn't see Trump's head explode in the middle of a TV screen.
And yeah, not just that, they're giddy that at least he was, there was an attempt. They were happy that an attempt was even made.
Yeah, they're happy because they wanted their democracy saved. And this doesn't go for Steve if he was going to get any sort of hate from me saying this, because this is a factual thing that I'm about to say. We don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic. Correct. Everybody follows under that constitution and the Bill of Rights associated with it.
Correct. Yeah, I don't mind somebody saying, for democracy, because, something about saying for democracy is not saying that we actually have a strict democracy. A constitutional republic is a very limited form of democracy, even though it's not a democratic system, nor do we want a purely democratic system.
Yeah, but when you have a bunch of people that don't understand the difference, that's what you get, where you're going to get the good and bad that comes with a democracy. Democracy perfect? No. Is a constitutional republic perfect? No. You'd be hard pressed to find any sort of government system that is perfect.
Correct.
But as far as rights of the people, a constitutional republic is a little more accurate than democracy, but the Dems are running with that, not knowing what damage it's causing, and now we have evidence of that damage that it's causing.
Mark says, nobody's been this disappointed by 2 inches since Stormy Daniels. See, again, I like dark humor. I do. I get it. Okay, so I cannot not laugh at that. I mean, seriously. I mean, Mark, that's funny. But it's still, I mean, there's a tragedy going on. But I got to admit, I like dark humor, so I can see that. But again.
Can I give him a bell?
You can give a bell.
Good job.
That was a weak bell. Yeah, no, see, but I can understand when somebody's trying to be humorous, because look, humor is a way of processing trauma, and so I cannot condemn somebody for, at least that joke was better than Destiny, if Destiny was making a joke, because his fell flat. Now I do have a few things to say about the right. I will get to that, guys. Trust me. So I did see this the other day, Steve. Dave Smith, he's a comic. And he's basically arguing how the F can you say he's literally Hitler and democracy is on the line, but wish him a speedy recovery and political violence is never acceptable, right? And he has a point. I say Dave has a very profound point. The radical left can't accuse somebody like Trump of literally being another Hitler, knowing full well that it will influence mentally unwell terrorists into believing that they are playing the hero that needs to eliminate such a person who could potentially be another repeat of the worst existential threat the world has ever seen. Hitler, and then pretend to wish him well. There's a contradiction there. I mean, look, the reality is most of us would have probably taken out Hitler. Okay, knowing what we know now, obviously, the whole, if you go back in time, would you take out Hitler? I think probably most people would, even though it probably wouldn't have much effect in our timeline. But we have the thing of hindsight, right? Mm-hmm. And you cannot say that Trump has gassed 8 million people. You cannot say that he has committed genocide on a mass scale to call him somebody like Hitler, the most evil person who ever lived. That's hyperbole.
You can't. And it's just, it is hyperbole. And it's hyperbole that a lot of people who aren't as knowledgeable about the political system just eat up on a platter. And it's one thing that propaganda does very well, is painting your opponent. The thing about any sort of presidential race, it's not about making yourself look good. It's about making the other guy look worse to vote for.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's about character assassination.
Right. And as far as relating Trump to Hitler, there's a show I watched thrice weekly that one of the hosts said something very profound. it said you may not like Hitler, you may disagree with everything Hitler did, but there's going to be the one thing that you agree with as far as Hitler is concerned that you will never admit because you don't want to give a Nazi a fair shake.
Correct. Well, yeah, and that's, I mean, look, he, for example, Hitler was an artist, right? People know that he did art. I don't particularly find the art of interest, but somebody might, as an art aficionado, give him credit and say Hitler was a great artist. Right. But who's going to do that? Obviously, maybe some people will, but most people won't, because it's like, oh, you're agreeing with a Nazi. That's argumentium ad Hitlerianum. It literally is a fallacy. Oh, you drink water, Hitler drank water, therefore you're a Nazi.
Yeah, that's the relation that they're basically using on Trump. You know what I would agree as far as one thing that I liked about the Hitler the Hitler Reich, his main people were snappy dressers. They knew how to rock a suit.
Oh, the uniforms. Yeah, well, a lot of World War II aficionados, all seem to agree that the Nazis had very the uniforms were exceptional. But they still were the most evil organization to ever have existed. I mean, let me make that very clear. And as somebody myself who comes from Jewish lineage. John Foley says you can't be calling the man Hitler and a fascist constantly and not expect it to influence people. Oh, we'll get into that, John. Absolutely. That's part of my argument here. However, I hold firm to Brandenburg individuals have agency and responsible for themselves. I do as well, obviously, but the media has influence. Biden's words has influence. We're going to get to Biden here, and we will get back to Destiny. Good. But I wanted to put out the preliminary stuff so people know that I'm not just slamming on Destiny for the sake of slamming on Destiny. I don't even recall talking to the guy. I know he's been on the show, but I don't even think I was on that episode, if I remember. It's been so many years. So this is not going to be a personal attack against Destiny. It's not. It's just, what the hell is he thinking? And we'll get into that. So somebody has talked about, the far right's hands and all this stuff. And Libs of TikTok, how do you pronounce her name? Rayek, I think. How do you pronounce her name?
I forget, honestly.
Shan Rayek. She says, most importantly, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Trump is a threat to this nation. Joe Biden yesterday. Yeah. And I wrote this. Let me be clear. You know what? You can read this. you do it. It's all you.
Make me sound like a politician with the very first line. Let me be clear. The far right hands are far from clean as well. Joe Biden using inflammatory language, such as saying things like, most importantly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Trump is a threat to this nation, and we're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye. Surely led up to events yesterday as well. Imagine being a very mentally disturbed person, listening to both sides say things like comparing Trump to Hitler and that he needs to be put in a bullseye. Words have connotations and impart visceral reactions to people, some of which lack the psychological You mean competency?
I forgot the T.
Competency to process those words as mere hyperbolic statements. Oh, here we go. Live edit.
Let me fix this in real time. I'm editing in real time. You know why I can do that? Because I got blue. Baby. You get an hour to edit, by the way.
It's okay, guys. He's got a grammar Nazi as a co-host, right?
Competency.
Competency.
Is that right?
Competence. CO. You're
don't judge me, man. I'm trying to do 6 things at once, man. You think this is easy? Come on. I got live chat going on. I got StreamYards. I got OBS. I got Facebook I'm watching right now. I've got X I'm watching now. Come on, man. Give a bro a break.
Oh, man.
Go ahead.
The psychological competency to process those words as mere hyperbolic statements. Political leaders and social media are very well aware how citizens can be manipulated by choice, words, and phrases. They are not ignorant of the social influence words have on people. They just don't care, as it is part of all their political agendas.
Doesn't that go right back to the CNN and the Washington Post, knowing full well that them not using the word assassination is going to have, is minimizing, and that words like putting Trump in a bullseye, comparing him to Hitler, And again, the left and the right have been criticizing.
Yeah.
The left criticizes left criticizes Trump because they literally loathe the man. They want him dead. I mean, I think Trump is correct on that. Reading the far left's reactions and in real time watching the live chats saying, oh, well, he shouldn't have missed and all this other stuff. I mean, it's clear that is their goal. The right is no better because, as you said, Steve, the right has to politically assassinate their opponent. That's how politics seems to work nowadays. So Biden is also politically assassinating Trump. So both sides are coming down on Trump.
Yeah,
and
both
that's what Trump has
sides
been
are
saying.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not even
both
a Trump
sides
supporter.
are like that. That's so many different shows that end up covering the politics of it have said maybe this is the year we get a third party. No, because people who have Trump derangement syndrome are saying the best chance we have is the decrepit houseplant in the White House, and people who are on the right is saying, well, I'm sorry, RFK, but Trump's our main guy in order to get Biden out. It's it's like you put, inflammatory.
And the sad part is that Trump was ahead of the polls before. During the debate, I know we'll get back to Destiny, trust me. But during the debate, I watched in real time Biden give away the candidacy. It was horrifying. He made so many flubs.
Oh yeah.
He wanted to what did he say about Medicaid? He wanted to
He wanted to go farther with Medicaid in order to...
No, but that's not what he said. He said once they could do something. What was it? It was a weird flub. Solve the problem of Medicaid or something like that. No, it wasn't even that.
He wanted to. He said something about ending Medicaid, like something. He made some sort of comparison.
What was it he said?
I'm trying to remember. To be honest,
we said we finally beat Medicaid, whatever the hell that means.
We finally beat Medicaid into the ground or something like that.
He just said when we finally beat Medicaid. But I mean, that was even the worst of it all. Even though I said Biden just didn't do a good job in the debate. The worst, I think, when he gave away the presidency, it was when he introduced President Zelensky as President Putin. Dude, there's no coming back from that. I'm sorry, but that I could not believe my ears. Can you imagine being President Zelensky and being introduced Zelensky, that's what I said. Zelensky.
Zelensky?
I'm not Russian.
Zelensky.
Zelensky. Z, Mr. Z. President
I know
Z.
you can does math, but you can't English well. I
can't English well. I don't English good. But can you imagine being him and being introduced as your mortal enemy? What he must have felt.
Oh,
and then call your vice president Trump.
He must have felt, vice president. I was just about to bring that up. I mean, at least Trump has a chance. He's vice president now. But it's better than Kamala, who sucked her way to the top.
Yeah, well, that's supposedly. I don't know anything about that. I never really looked into any of those claims. It's not really.
I didn't look into any of those claims either, but it made for a good, catchy line for a woman that I just despise.
Yeah, well, she's. I don't understand how Biden thinks she's
terrible.
Competent.
She smiles at everything.
Yeah, she has no competency whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But after yesterday, Trump was guaranteed a win. They made him into a hero. They made him into a god, so to speak, a political god. The man got shot, and he's raising his hands in opposition in a photo op that's going to be on Time Magazine, probably.
Yeah, every single thing that the Democrats have done to try to stop this person has made him more popular. Remember when he got those charges, all 35 charges passed against him, made him a felon? Within the next 24 hours, the Trump campaign made $53.8 million.
Yeah, 34. It was 34 felony convictions, all of which stem from really one. They just. I think they overcharged him. I'll be honest, and I'm not. I'm not a Trump fan, but I do agree with some people that I do trust, and I think that there was like one actual felony, and they just made it into 34 different counts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't stop this man. Even a bullet whizzing past him didn't stop him.
It's a Streisand effect. It literally is a Streisand effect in real time, and like you said, I mean, the whole Nietzsche thing, whatever doesn't kill you make you stronger. Politically, that's a truism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about this. Trump had hero worship to begin with. The evangelical Christians thought this man was from Jesus and from God, and he was appointed, by the Almighty to come down and save America. The radical, religious right believes that. They literally do. This is not hyperbole. They believe that he was sent from God. and now a bullet just barely grazes him, they're not going to use that as divine protection.
Oh yeah, they're going to keep going. They're going to keep going. I've talked with a few people on the right that are, while they're very religious, they also consider the chances that Trump had to escape that. And I'm like, was this a gift from God? And they said yes and no. Yes, because God must have had some influence in the direction of that bullet. No, because someone was still killed.
Correct.
So unless God was saying that person's destiny is to die for Trump, that would be a bad thing to say. But then I talked to, just before the show, I talked to one really Christian friend of mine. I said, do you believe that that was a gift from God, Trump surviving? And they said, well, depends. And I said, what do you mean depends? And they said, did God make that shooter inept? I was like, oh my God, no. Yeah. Don't tell me that God made him suck so that he would miss Trump.
The mental gymnastics people have to use.
I know.
Somebody says, are you a secret Trump supporter? No, I'm not. I'm not a supporter of Trump.
I'm not either.
I'm not a fan of either one. I think if this is the best America has to offer, we're screwed 6 ways a Sunday.
Oh, yes, we are. Yes, we are. And then I don't trust a politician as far as I can throw them. And I can barely bench 90, to be honest with you.
You know, and it's funny, Steve, is that I have people that live in other countries, Canada, Australia, Europe, all saying, oh, my God, Steve, what has happened to your country? And I have no retort. I have no rejoinder. I have nothing to say to them other than I have no idea. It is ridiculous. Autistic Shill says, in my opinion, Trump will put the country in a dictatorship. And she might have a point. I mean, I'm not arguing that Trump is not an authoritarian. I'm not arguing that Trump isn't a form of dictator. I think that he absolutely is. He's a narcissist. He thinks it's all about him. He's not only incompetently stupid, but he's a narcissist. Those are very two dangerous combinations. And so do I want somebody like him back in office? Absolutely freaking not. I wanted him in office first time only because, and we'll make this very clear, I was not a Hillary supporter. I served under Clinton's, and I'm not a Hillary or Bill Clinton supporter. And I knew that Trump would be horrifying. I knew that it would be bad. I made no bones about that. But I'm like, let the country burn for a little while. People will recognize we need better candidacy. We'll recover and hopefully move forward and do better. Boy, did that not work out well. That I underestimated the amount of incompetency in America. I really did.
So you're saying that the right during the 2016 election made you realize how bad of a candidate Hillary was and said that Trump was the better vote?
Yeah, something along those lines. I did not say that Trump was going to go do a good job. Never. I always said, look, he's going to suck as a president, but we'll make it through, and people will say we need to start doing better, hopefully. But now we have Trump and Biden, and this is the best political candidacy we can get. I mean,
this is also a rematch. You're like, that's the thing, and that's what a lot of these news stations actually reflect on, is that this is a rematch. We know what 4 years of Trump looks like. We know what 4 years of Biden looks like. Which one would you prefer? That's the question in the air right now.
Well, right now, unfortunately, I hate to say it,
I'd rather go with Biden. Neither.
Well, yeah, neither, but I'd rather go with Biden for the fact that I don't think he's in political power. I don't think he's doing anything. I think that... Mm-hmm. Hang on 1 second, will you?
Mm-hmm. Great, he's gone. I should ruin his show just like he ruined mine. Anyway, to kind of continue, yeah, like he's not doing well. Clearly, a lot of his handlers are doing more of the heavy lifting, like Joe Biden and lots of others.
He's not doing any of the real. Presidential kind of stuff. He's actually, I think he's just being a figurehead right now.
To be honest, one joke that was being tossed around before the debate was how much meth did it take for him to stand up that long?
Well, they probably gave him some kind of medication, so to speak.
Probably to help him out. But
somebody says you should go to Wix TV's channel and listen to Destiny argue about this to Wick. It's on Wix TV's latest live stream, about 3:10. 3 hours, 10 minutes. The conversation is about 20 minutes long. I will do that. I will check that out. Because I don't know how Destiny is going to be arguing this in real time to people. The guy is just losing his mind even in real time on Twitter right now. Let's see. Let's read what it says. I haven't read this yet because it's only an hour ago. I want to profusely apologize to any Trump supporters in my audience that I've misled into thinking I view them as anything beyond unpatriotic, treacherous, and anti-American scum that they are. I think I did say this. Doing my best to rectify that ASAP. So he's literally saying that if you support Trump, you're unpatriotic, treacherous, and anti-American scum. Which, again, I'm okay with somebody saying unpatriotic. Maybe. I mean, if they really think that Trump is not a patriot, then I get that. I'm not even going to hold that against him, even though.
Yeah, that's fine.
Even though that, I do think that Trump had usurped the political process. I think that him not transferring the presidency over peacefully and quickly was a major mistake. I think that did solidify that he doesn't want a change of power, and if he got in again, he may not get out or something. And he has the mobility of the people to do it. He could literally start a civil war. This is not hyperbole. He could. He's got that much power.
He could. He's got that much of a following. He's got that much power. But here's the question that I have: who's shooting the first bullet? That's what I want to know. Who's shooting the first bullet? And as far as what your quote for Destiny is, saying like anything beyond the unpatriotic, okay, judge him you want. Treacherous, okay, that carries its own thing. Anti-American, I'm sorry, no. If you have a bunch of people running around with red hats saying "Make America Great Again,"
yeah, that seems out of place. I mean, you may look. I'm not a MAGA fan. I lived with a MAGA guy for a long while. And I got along fine, but we didn't agree politically, obviously. But these people believe that they are being patriotic and American, and you could disagree with that, but that doesn't give you the right to say that you agree with political assassination that completely undermines and usurps the entire, and I'm going to say it, I know you're going to be bothered by this, but the entire democratic process, even though it's a constitutional republic, but I know the difference. That is just ridiculous. And for Destiny to crap over all these people, and I know that it was a Republican that took the shot. I understand that, but look at the both sides were feeding into this guy. You had the Republican Party saying put him on a bullseye. You had the Republican Party saying he was Hitler and he was an existential threat to America, and then you had the left saying that he was Hitler and an existential threat to America. Yeah. So I mean, both sides were saying this. Both sides.
Well, that goes back to the main way that I view any sort of population. No matter what population you look at, 100% is not going to be good and 100% is not going to be bad. There are bad eggs in every population, and if this guy really was a right-winger, I haven't actually seen anything to that, but if this guy really was a right-winger, he was one of the bad right-wingers. Simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I mean, I'm waiting for more information to come out about him. There's been very little about his actual political orientations.
Thomas something Crooks, I think is what his name was. 20 years old. So I know that 20 years old, I'm not even an adult yet. I consider adult a 21. Not an adult yet. Yeah, something was going on in his brain.
Right, and he's listening to all this stuff, and for some reason he had a hero complex, thinking it was on him to, because he had to think that this was a moral act, right? I mean, in some way, he had to think.
Yeah, he had to think this was a moral act, and the question that I had was, did he think he was going to get away?
No, he had to know that was the end.
He had to know that as soon as he pulled the trigger, he's done. Or even if he might not even get to the point of pulling the trigger, he still had the gall to try.
Well, and this is the weirdest part. Again, I've only got bits and pieces. I think everybody's only got bits and pieces. But, most of us have seen where the shooter was located. He was on a roof, and people had saw him. I mean, people in the crowd saw him. So why didn't the Secret Service see him?
Better yet, why didn't the police do anything? The police had a link to the Secret Service. The police could go up to a Secret Service person at any time and say, hey, we got reports of this guy on the roof. Right. There was a party going on not far from the rally, and they saw him. They saw the gun, and they said, we need to tell the police. They told police officers, this is where there's bad police officers and good police officers, because if I was a police officer, I'd take any sort of potential threat seriously.
100%.
But the bad police officers were like, oh, well, it's just probably some guy with a camera long range.
Yeah, they'll probably lose their job.
Yeah, I hope they lose their job. I hope they do, because
the Secret Service needs to be investigated as well, as far as, like, look, I'm not going to say the Secret Service was incompetent. I'm not going to go that far. There was some mistakes made. There had to be. But they do their job. So Secret Service is the best force, the best organization for protection, bar none, in the entire world. Straight up, I will support the Secret Service.
The
But
problem
mistakes
is
were
they
made.
have to answer to Mayorkas, and Mayorkas has already proven that he's incompetent as hell.
So, there was, like I said, somebody in there made mistakes. Now, I'm not going to denounce the entire, organization, but somebody made mistakes. Somebody says they can listen to this conversation on stream. I want to hear your thoughts. I'm not on this particular stream because I'm not set up for it right now. But maybe part 2. I might stream later on tonight, maybe around 8 p.m. Pacific time if there's a part 2, and maybe I might stream that Saturn.
If it's 8 p.m., then I would be home by then.
I was going to say, I know you have to work today, but I think you'll be home by then. So if you'll rejoin me, we might do a part 2. Okay, so Destiny says this. When the guy you supported openly and unabashedly tries to overthrow the government and then beg the Supreme Court for criminal immunity so he can become a king above law and avoid accountability for his actions, it's hard to have the moral high ground on any kind of response. This is the world conservatives have built, and then now the rest of us have to live in it. That does not justify, Destiny, a political assassination attempt. This is what Destiny is not understanding. He's trying to be that edgy, edgelord that has hyperbolic rhetoric to his followers. That's what he's built his social media presence about. Wrong time, wrong place. Because if you don't put America first, if you don't put the political process first above all else, then you're part of the problem. You're leading into this fanaticism that's causing these homegrown terrorists to do what they're doing. Destiny is literally feeding into this, and knowing the size platform that he has, he damn well is aware of this.
Of course he is.
It's completely immoral.
Of course he's more than aware of this, because he's got a lot of idiots that actually don't look things up and just go on whatever the popular person says. It's ridiculous. Number one, tried to overthrow the government. He was participating in the government system as far as trying to earn votes in order to earn his way back into the presidency, like he did the first time. Second, beg the Supreme Court for criminal immunity. No, the Supreme Court came to that decision by themselves. He didn't say anything about begging the Supreme Court in any way. In fact, he's not even a politician right now. He is not in the political system. Yes, he is his own person running for president, but he holds no official office and does not have the power to go to the Supreme Court, subpoena each member of the Supreme Court into hearing him bitch and moan about how he's supposed to be the next president, and then so that they could make him king above the law. Third, he was never really above the law because he kept trying to do things through Congress even during his presidency, and Congress stopped him through most of it.
Yeah, and I have my issues with SCOTUS's ruling. Do I think that they ruled according to the law? Probably, but I think the law is, I think there need to be changes. Do I think they ruled according to constitutionality? Yeah, I mean, after reevaluating, I have to say that they probably did, but there needs to be some changes. But imagine this, and I don't want to do a slippery slope, and then I'll get to the super chat, John. Thank you. I don't want to do a slippery slope, but think about this. If Destiny is okay with executions and of political leaders, assassinations of political leaders, what's next? Supreme Court justices? Is that what he's advocating for? Oh, you don't like the way that a Supreme Court justice is ruling things? That you're gonna take it upon yourself to aggregate your audience, to aggravate your audience and motivate them to do things like this shooter did? Because I don't see Destiny being any different than what he's complaining about. He's complaining about the political parties doing all this stuff and causing problems to America. Yet he is supporting somebody who tried to usurp the political process by assassination. How is that? If that's not worse than what Trump has done, I don't know what is.
It is worse than what Trump has done, and you see it all the time. You see it all the time with everybody that you can apply the term Trump derangement syndrome. The second that you mention Trump to somebody, that is when they go over the edge. The second that you mention to them such a conflicting point of view that they can't process it, they automatically assume that you're bad. There's three ways to approach any problem, everybody. The negative way, where you are completely against it, the positive way, in which you are completely for it, and the neutral way, where it just doesn't bother you.
Right, or and you can lean a little bit, either way. You can oscillate. So John Foley, a member of the channel. If you want to become a member of the channel, hit that join button. We appreciate it. He says, "Woo, woo!" You can do a bell. You want to do a bell? Do a bell.
Oh yeah, I'll do a bell. Let me just bring it up to the microphone.
Make it loud. There we go. John says he's a registered Republican, but gave to very progressive institutions as well in his immediate past. ultimately, I think he's going to be found to have health issues. I assume mental health issues. It was a elaborate deletion. And I think you're probably right, John. He obviously knew that he was not going to walk away that day. I'm sorry, but you're just not. Even no matter what happens, it doesn't matter if you bring a firearm, especially a rifle, and you target a political candidate, you're going down if they see you. Which means that the Secret Service did not see this guy, because if any sniper would have saw him, they would have taken him out instantly. They don't play games. They don't play ask questions first, shoot later. No, they shoot first and then ask questions later. Let me give you an example of this. I've been in Washington, D.C. Many people have. And whenever the president has a motorcade or anything like that, there's snipers on like the Lincoln Memorial and other places, are all around. They're always there. Whenever he's around, they are around. And I've seen them. You can literally see them. They're looking, and they know exactly what to look for. And if they saw some guy with a Remington 223, and again, that's just the most popular. It could have been an AR. I think somebody was saying it was an AR, but I don't. That doesn't.
They said it was an AR-15, but you know that somebody says that, and that's exactly what the gun control lobbyists are going to run on.
Yeah, and that's not the weapon that doesn't seem like the right weapon for that particular.
No,
but anyways.
no. Well, don't get me wrong. Any rifle would either overperform or underperform given certain circumstances. As far as just an a garden variety AR-15, I could see him land the shot, but not an accurate enough shot. Plus, a lot of military people were saying, like, if he was really going after Trump, there's a hell of a lot more body mass than there are head mass. He was doing this for brownie points more than anything. That's why he missed.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Why would again, this guy was not a trained sniper. Why would you go for a headshot? You would go 2 to the chest.
No. You go center mass,
yeah,
and he fired up to 12 shots, but a lot of people are saying 8 shots were definitely fired. Okay, so why were some of those bullets aimed at the people in the audience instead of the body mass, which is easily 3 times as big as his head?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when you do training, they teach. I had a concealed weapons permit. I used to have firearms years ago. I haven't owned one since like 2012. But you know, when you do go to a firing range, because I used to go to a firing range with a friend of mine who was a deputy sheriff, assistant deputy sheriff, and he was a assistant manager of mine. I was a store manager. He was assistant manager. So we would go firing together. And you learn to double tap 2 to the chest, 1 to the head, if possible. For a handgun, and I had a Browning Buck 22 caliber. He had a Glock 17 with scope, I think, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so you even when you're doing a rifle, you know, you want to go for center mass, and because your biggest target by far. I mean, if you have especially at 200 meters, that's nothing. That's nothing for a rifle. Most rifles can get 1,000 meters easier. A good sniper, 2,000 meters.
Now, we do have information as far as the bullets being used. They were 223 rounds.
Oh, they were 223.
They were 223.
Oh, I didn't know they had confirmation of that. I was just talking to somebody else, like, that's the most common. So
yeah, they were 223s. And I was hearing stuff like, well, at that distance, a 223 round would just break up in whatever, in the body where as soon as it hits. So center mass would have been perfect for him.
Right.
He just wanted people to see Trump's head explode on TV.
You might be right. I mean, unless he has a manifesto saying that, you know, it's an assumption. You know, it's just an assumption, but it's certainly possible because, again, or he just wasn't properly trained in firearms. But you know, it's good that he thinks he wasn't because, look, if Trump would have been assassinated, there would have been a civil war probably, and maybe that's what he was trying for, because of hyperbole like Destiny's and other people.
One thing that from what you have on screen right here, one thing I'm realizing is I'm more like Ben Shapiro than I thought, because pathetic and ass clowns are 2 of my favorite words. Son of a bitch! I'm relating myself to Shapiro. No.
But yeah, there's somebody said Glock with scope. Yeah, there was I don't know what, a little sighting thing that I remember him having on his Glock. This was in when was this? 1995 probably. So I mean, my recollection is going way back here. But I remember he had a little red dot mount kind of thing on his gun. Again, he was a sheriff guy, and he had a lot of firearms. But anyways, And yeah, by the way, John says body armor. Why don't they have body armor or like bulletproof vest for Trump when he's? They will probably now.
Do you think
obviously.
a bulletproof vest would fit on the man?
Oh, they make him extra large. But okay, so Destiny goes on. Oh yeah, by the way, that was on a Ben Shapiro post. Ben Shapiro says, yes, clearly after an assassination attempt against Trump, the problem of heated rhetoric is all about Trump's rhetoric. You pathetic sad sack ass clowns. I love
You
that.
pathetic sad sack ass clowns.
You know, Ben Shapiro, dude, say what you want about Ben Shapiro. The guy is really good.
Oh,
at commentary.
he's intelligent.
He's
intelligent.
very smart. He's educated. I've heard him say some stupid shit. Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with Ben on a lot of things. He's obviously religious and I'm not. But like his talk with Alex O'Connor was very good actually.
Yes, and that's one thing Ben Shapiro does very, very, very well, is he's good not only at debate, but in the art of conversation. He is in a controlled setting what Charlie Kirk is in a public setting, where he doesn't back down from his point. He's willing to acknowledge another point if it proves his point. If it doesn't prove his point, he's very good at talking around, or not talking around it, talking directly through it. He doesn't ignore anything that the opponent brings up.
Correct.
And that's what I like about Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then, let's see, Destiny goes on to say, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, this is just sick. This is just sick. If I've offended anyone, and this doesn't even have to do with Trump, man. He says, if I've offended anyone on my recent tweets, I like to make things right. DM me and I'll buy you front row seats to the next Trump rally, insinuating that if you're in the front row of a Trump rally, you might get shot. Again, an innocent person getting shot. That was an American. Right. An American.
That is a hell of an insinuation. That does not look good. That gives me the shakes along the spine. Like, he wants to kill someone.
I mean,
but what I would do, I would DM him. I would get the front row seats to the next Trump rally, and I'd sell them or burn the tickets. That's what I'd do if he bought me any of those tickets.
I agree. I mean, I wouldn't go to a Trump rally. I just have no interest in that.
No. I don't really have an interest in it, but I am curious about it. I can't lie. I am curious about what goes on.
I got to take care of something real fast. While I'm doing that, let's go to another tweet. I'm going to have you read it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Take over the show for a minute. Let's see here.
I can do that. I won't ruin the show like you did on the...
like previous co-hosts have done. Okay. Here, this was actually pretty good.
Okay, Common Sense Custodian says, someone who watched you, who mostly disagreed but respected you in general, I now unequivocally say I was wrong. You have said some of the most heinous, callous, heartless things in a time that calls for influencers like you to be better and help unite us. Shame on you. And he said this to Destiny, who said, if we learned anything today, we've already read this one, but I'll say it again. Destiny said, if we learned anything today, I hope it's realizing the importance of principles I've stressed many times on stream before. Having a firearm means absolutely nothing if you don't spend time at the range practicing with it. I mean, Common Sense Custodian makes a lot of sense. As far as, and this is why I always say a celebrity only has as much power as you believe they have. Okay, and that goes not only for the celebrities in Hollywood, but also goes for the celebrities online. That goes to anybody that anybody could look up to, anybody with a following, at all. Titan Uranus says hi PDS.
Real quick, Shill, I just messaged you something on DM. Can you do me a favor, Shill? Just to show my mod. Can you do me a solid, and I'll explain to you later. My mod. Why don't I have one mod?
Okay. Purple Dragon Shield.
I have more, but it's just Sunday morning, so so they're not around. But anyways, so bro keeps digging. Let's see here. I mean, the amount of reactions to him. I mean, if he wants negative attention, he's getting it. There's no question about that.
Because that's also the thing.
What's that?
That's the thing about negative reaction. Like whenever you find yourself in a hole and you try to explain yourself out of that hole, you dig yourself deeper. So that's why I'm the silenced one. I had a falling out with a group of people, and I knew that no matter what I said, it would dig me in deeper. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to shut up for a while and let this blow over, because it's clear that they're going to say whatever the hell they want in order to prove a point, and their point is, I don't like you.
Can't wait for the 7,000 video asking if woke people are destroying America. Look, I'm anti-woke. People know this. That does not mean that I'm right. Right politically leaning. I'm center. I just have a huge amount of disdain for far left, far right, both of them. I mean, as a centrist, I see extremists on both sides, just like I do with the whole, atheist versus theist thing. I see religious fundamentalists that I absolutely detest and loathe. What they do and what they say, they're absolutely immoral to me in the name of God. And then I see atheists saying the stupidest things in the world because they don't understand basic moral theory. So as a centrist, I look at things and say, okay, you're always going to have radicalism of any kind when you have people that disagree, because they have different levels of disagreement, right? Some people are like, I disagree with you, but we get along and it's all good. We can suss and have a beer. There's other people that disagree and say, look, I disagree with you. I want your life ended, kind of thing. That's radicalism.
Yeah, that is radicalism, and it is unfortunately the way things have gone on in society, because a lot of people would rather others tell them what to think rather than try to answer the hard questions themselves.
Correct. And by the way, I have no problem with people. Look, I understand that people dislike Trump, and if Trump would have been assassinated, there would have people that would have been happy. I get that. I understand the visceral reactions, but to put that publicly, there's people well know there's people that I guarantee it, if they passed away, I would not be unhappy about it, kind of stuff. Okay, we all have people that are like that in our lives. But this is a political leader. This is a presidential candidate that's part of the political process. And
he's trying his best to be part of that political process. Like, that's the big thing.
I think Destiny's referring back to the original time Trump was president. There was some shady stuff. I mean, do I think that he had a hand in January 6th insurrection? Yeah. And people say, well, there wasn't an insurrection. What do you want to call it? There was something that happened that day of major historical consequence. And again, it was because of the media's constant vilifying of Trump to mobilize his base.
Yeah, that was. And a big thing that was also swept under the rug is him saying, well, don't be violent. Don't, by all means, protest, but protest peacefully. He was saying all this because he knew that some people would take it out of line, and some people took it out of line as far as Jan 6 is concerned. That isn't a reflection of Trump. That's a reflection of the crazies in the population that Trump leads.
Correct. I mean, Trump has a very, radicalized base, to say the least. But so does the far left. I mean, Antifa is far left, and they're radicalized. Look at the woke movement. The people out there, if you don't agree with them about gender, you're automatically vilified. You're going to be treated as Hitler. I've had people say the same argument. Oh, you think you putting out there's only two biological sexes. You must be Hitler. It's like, how the hell does that even correlate to each other?
Right, Steve, and then that's basically what happens in anybody that is in center. That's how it's. I'm not sure if you've ever seen the illustration where there's this guy on a white line, and there's red people on the left and blue people on the right, right? And he says, I think both sides have a good idea. He's shoved by one of the red people over to the blue side. One of the blue people catches him and says, are you okay? And the white guy says, yeah, I'm all right. And then the red guy that just shoved him said, why are you supporting what they say? Because you just shoved him over to one side. I'm trying to find that image, but it's basically how the extremes affect the rest of us.
Yeah. Well, and also the Overton window has been completely shattered of what's appropriate any longer,
Right.
So Destiny says, and again, 6 hours ago, so looks like he's been up all night, because I started seeing this happen last night in real time. He says, "What are you talking about, you valueless, soulless effing banshee? The right has been walking this country off a cliff for years. While Trump was just trying to dismantle the country, you effing retards cried about trans people and woke schools. Please go get drafted." Well, there is a reason to be concerned when it comes to radicalization, including critical gender theory, including critical race theory, including all these critical theories that are sociological movements rather than sound epistemological frameworks, in my opinion. And that's the big thing. What is reasonable? What is rational? And I think that people that have these radicalized agendas are not thinking very radical. So they're not thinking very rationally. And he's like, please go get drafted. I don't know, but I don't think Destiny served in the military. I don't think he ever put his life in the line for the Constitution.
No, he's never served in the military.
Yeah. So he, to say to go get drafted, he would be the first person to try to avoid it. I think he would do just what Trump did. I don't think Destiny would ever last more than 5 minutes.
That's what you get out of these people, though. That's what you get out of these people, though, is go do the thing that I would never do, just so I don't have to do it.
Yeah. Destiny, I put my life on the line for freedom for this country, just like anybody in the military has. Going in that something could happen. You're well aware of this, okay? They don't really make, they don't like put that in your face, but you're not cognitively unaware that when you sign up for the military, something can happen. And when I went in, I didn't know there was going to be a war.
Right.
I didn't know. I didn't know that Desert Storm and Desert Shield was going to be a thing. That I had to go serve 3 times over off the coast of Kuwait. And yes, I was literally off the coast of Kuwait. I literally saw the oil fields burning. I could smell the oil. I could taste the oil.
Oh dear.
We had Iraqi planes all around that time during the time in the Straits of Hormuz. I believe they were called. It was right off the coast in the Gulf there, and we're getting real time updates. And yeah, there was bombings, there was attacks on vessels, and so yeah, I knew going in that was a possibility, but did I expect it? No, but I did my job. I stood my general quarters.
Right.
I trained how to put out fires and
thank you for your service.
EBAs. Oh, you're welcome. But Destiny would never have done that. No,
he wouldn't. And this quote that you have on screen actually answers exactly what his friggin' motives are. It's a win-win for me. Either I get the candidate I ideologically align with, or Trump gets elected and I get more tax cuts on my 7-figure income, while brokey trailer trash retards like you celebrate in the streets and die of diabetes. So you don't care about any pro-Trump people. All you care about is your money. That's why you're apologizing to any.
Yeah, the dude makes $1 million a year.
Yeah,
and he knows that even here's the thing with social media influencers, okay, of his caliber, of his status. I'm not going to take it away from him. Destiny has a huge amount of influence. But here's the fact: even if he lost a significant part of his audience, he still would be making a butt ton of money, and he knows this.
Right.
And in fact, he might even make more because the ones that are left are the more radical ones. The people that still support Destiny after all of this have got to be the more radicalized ones. They're going to probably donate even more.
And see, it's situations like this that end up culling the herd. Going back to the population argument that I have, 100% of the population can't be good or bad. There's bad ones in there. Well, this is how you get the good ones out of there.
Yeah,
is by showing how. Yeah, what?
Do you remember what I used to call that? I used to call that cultivating and culling. You cultivate your audience and cull the ones that are evil. Right? So you don't want to cultivate an audience that just agrees with you, but you want to cultivate an audience that has some sense of decency and morality, because the ones that don't, they're the ones that are going to take your channel. They're the ones that are going to cause problems. And so I call people like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is what the opposite's happening. In those terms, Destiny is culling out a lot of the right-wingers that see him for the shit and keeping the ones that he knows is going to maintain that 7-figure income.
Correct.
It's ridiculous. He is definitely imploding in the light of what we saw yesterday.
Let's see here.
Going through the notes.
What else we got? I don't know what that is. Let's see here. I don't care about that. So he said, "Excuse me, sir, but did he but if he did, he would enjoy the absolute criminal immunity for his acts as commander in chief. Well, here's the actual thing though. In the line of his presidency, the way that SCOTUS ruled it was, if you do something that is in accordance to your political position, that is, in accordance to your job, then you can be held accountable. But if for example, if Trump went out and he robbed a bank, he could be prosecuted. That's not part of his.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So I mean, he's not above the law when it comes to something like that. It's just that they said, in accordance to his job, he cannot be found liable for anything. And I get that. I don't even actually have a problem with that, because the president has to do some pretty. All political leaders have to make very difficult decisions, right? I mean, these people can literally end the world by starting a nuclear war. Do you need
I think the DA
yes.
I think DA in Pennsylvania said something along the lines of, well, it's because of Biden's rhetoric that Trump was nearly killed today. He could be held. We need to hold him accountable for inciting the violence that we just saw.
About Trump with the January 6th thing, right? I mean,
to a degree. I get that. I get what he's saying, but this is also like, this is a right-wing politician, like what you're saying, like the right wing's just as guilty. This is a right-wing politician absolutely galvanizing his base and saying we need to hold Biden accountable. No. You need to hold Mayorkas and the 9 other people accountable for not providing the protection Trump needed. And even if there was more protection, who's to say if that protection would have been able to see and react to the shooter, because even police officers weren't giving Secret Service information they needed.
Right. And which, again, can you imagine them looking back going, man, did we screw up? Did we screw up by not informing the Secret Service properly?
Right. I can imagine there's one cop just like having a stiff drink after everything happened. Like, I should have listened to those people.
Especially if he would have been assassinated, man, it would have destroyed this country. It would. People don't seem to understand ramifications. The amount of civil unrest, the amount of people's literally heads would be rolled. I mean, there would be unconscionable amount of bloodshed because of both sides. Both sides have extreme radicalization, and Destiny is part of that extreme radicalization. He's part of the problem, and he doesn't even see it.
Yeah, and that's the absolute head up the ass situation that we deal with on the extreme left and the extreme right. Is people who, well, I'm right and I know I'm right. Oh boy, TDS is. TDS is what the intellectually bankrupt screech when their media star cash cow is attacked by anyone with a shred of common sense. Okay, so I'm going to relate this to a left-wing talking point involving like cis as a slur. One thing that I had to say to stop that was, excuse me, bruh, but you're infringing on my privilege by not using the correct pronouns that I prefer, is exactly what everybody said when pronoun checks became a thing. Now you're making the exact same argument, but TDS is the thing people on the left don't want to be talked about. You keep calling people MAGA on the right, and you think we're not going to say Trump derangement syndrome whenever you bitch and moan about Trump. It's back and forth. It's what the political argument does. If you have someone who is mostly right wing, and again, I'm not mostly right wing. I take my talking points for both sides, and I throw out the bad ones because the bad ones are obviously bad. Trump derangement syndrome is a thing because as soon as someone hears Trump, all logic out the window. All logic out the window. Right. Yeah, it's pathetic. Non sequitur, you are muted.
I'm sorry.
And-
Let me repeat what I just said. Thank you, Maud. I was just saying that that I didn't want to think that TDS was an actual real thing. I'm not going to go so far to say that TDS is an actual diagnosable condition that should be in the DSM, but it is something to describe what we're watching. We're watching Destiny and other people saying things like, oh, it was a false flag. We're watching people say that, oh, it's a shame that the shooter missed. We're watching people lose their mind because they're upset that Trump wasn't executed yesterday. That, to me, is indicative of what I would describe as total, a Trump derangement syndrome. What else describes something like that? And I hate to have to admit that. I hate to have to think to myself that such a thing describes what we're witnessing. But what else would you use? It describes it very well.
It describes it extremely well, and that's what they don't like about it. They don't like the truth that Trump derangement syndrome is exactly what it is. It is a syndrome, a part of. Go ahead, Google syndrome real quick. Let's really stress test this. So syndrome definition.
Well, remember,
a group of symptoms which consistently occur together, or a condition characterized by a set of associated symptoms.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, again, that describes something, right? I really want to make it very clear. I'll do another show one of these on prescriptivism versus descriptivism for my essay that I wrote on that, because a lot of people don't understand the difference. But this is description, right? This is called a sensu lato synchronic description. So this is basically saying what describes what we look at when we see a syndrome. A group of symptoms which constantly occur together, or conditions characterized by a set of associated syndromes. That's what we're describing. We're seeing from Destiny and other people that are actually happy that this happened. That actually, wish that it would have been an assassination. They're disappointed. They're literally disappointed.
Yep, and according to Cambridge Dictionary, derangement is the state of being completely unable to think clearly or behave in a controlled way, especially because of mental illness. And so when you put Trump in front of all of that, guess what?
All right,
Trump derangement syndrome. You are not acting in a controlled way. Oh, hello, John Foley. You are not acting in a controlled way because the matter of fact that someone said Trump made you have that sort of illness.
It describes it pretty well. It doesn't mean that you have those syndromes, you automatically have TDS. It just means that it's describing. It's not prescribing. But anyways, welcome. We have a right winger in the show now, Mr.
Woo!
John Foley, conservative extraordinaire.
I wouldn't describe myself as a right winger. I'm ever so slightly right of centre. So I'm pro gay marriage, and
that doesn't matter. I'm pro marriage. Gay marriage.
But I'm pro gay marriage because I'd rather if gay people. Well, the reason that I'm pro gay marriage is because I would rather that people who are gay live in family units and raise families and things, rather than hedonistically just fuck around. But at the same time, I'm also not pro the fact that the government should mandate that churches have to marry gay people.
Right, I agree with you.
So
I do not think churches should be mandated to have to carry.
They have a right to their doctrines as private institutions.
But if I was a gay person, if I would leave that church.
Of course, you go to a church that is more aligned with your personal disposition.
It doesn't have to be like the Episcopalian, which is rainbows and sunshine everywhere. I think that's a little bit too much, but look at this real quick. Let me speak on this real quick, John, and I want your opinion on this, because this is ridiculous. Because Steve and I have talked about this prior. This is insanity. So Destiny says it was a breaking news headlines because nobody knew immediately what happened. You effing dolt. And I'm trying to keep cursing down because just FYI. They are cracking down on cursing, so listen.
Oh yes, they are.
So
yes,
I'm going to be trying to minimize that, because I don't make much from these things, and I kind of could use whatever I can get. So thank you for that super chat, John. It all comes in handy, I assure you. So the CNN said Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally, and then the Washington Post says something very similar. Now here's the problem I have with this, and let me run my argument, John, and then I want your input on it, and for the audience. CNN and Washington Post are are the pinnacles of media. They have experts. They have editorial experts. They have editors. They will not put something out that has not been vetted many, 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 many times. This is a historical moment yesterday, and it happened live, hearing gunshots. It happened live. You can hear the gunshots. You can hear him duck.
Right.
It was not, just being rushed off stage. It was clear that there was a shooting. Anybody who watched this live, which they have had been watching live, knew what was going on. Now, if they would have said, breaking news, Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after apparent gunshots are fired, that would have been different.
But it's even worse than that. Steve, it's even worse than that. Are we seriously on the... So we're judging this based on the video footage that we were looking at, because that's all we've got to judge it on. Obviously, retrospectively, we have more information. But are we seriously of the opinion that CNN did not have a journalist in the crowd stood there at the time, looking at the brains of that poor person in the crowd, spattered all over the fucking bleachers?
They would have been instantly to... I mean, they have...
And they still put this on their fucking website? Patrick Bet-David is right. Fuck CNN.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Yeah, well, I mean,
you're killing my monetization here, John. You're killing my monetization.
I'm sorry.
I know. I'm just trying.
Frick CNN.
I don't know hardly anything, and every little bit helps. So
sorry. Apologies. I do apologize.
Yeah, those frick CNN, those butt suckers. Anyway.
Yeah.
So it's.
But you obviously, I do apologize for that, Steve.
Okay.
Yes. After he falls at a rally.
What am I missing? CNN again. For Destiny to say, "Oh, nobody knew immediately," that's an outright lie, Destiny. I am sorry, but you are not that much of an idiot. You are not a dumb person. Destiny, I don't agree with him. I think his entire shtick is rhetoric. I think he just wants to be a contrarian. I think he'll argue 2 + 2 = 5 if somebody argues that 2 + 2 = 4. I don't think he has a single solitary position he won't find a contrary position to just to debate. That's his whole shtick.
He is a contrarian. Yes. I do find the position that Destiny has taken on this, I do find rather odd, because I've always had, you have obviously pointed out, Steve, that I am slightly to the right, and I would only say slightly to the right.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And Destiny has and Destiny has always been my sort of left-wing bellwether, as in he's been the sort of person that I've gone to, and there are a couple of others that I've gone to see, look, am I completely unhinged here? Have I jumped the rails completely? Is my position on this is my position on this effing bonkers? Sorry, Steve, I'm so sorry.
I know it takes practice, but here's the thing.
Is my position this completely bonkers? And on this, I've gone to, and I'm like, Destiny, what are you like? You cannot watch like more than 30 seconds of this footage and come to any other than conclusion.
Right. It wasn't like that. It wasn't happening on live TV. It wasn't like it wasn't. It was something that was far away, and they were just getting secondhand and third reports on. Reports are just coming in.
Yeah.
Secret Service rushes Trump off stage. Facts to are going to be forthcoming. It wasn't like that. It was live on air, and they knew exactly what was going on. And as you said, that CNN had people in the audience in real time watching this, communicating with CNN, telling them shots are heard.
It's also,
and they ran.
It's also like there's everything about this that rings as people being shot at, like Trump's reaction, like that round zipped past his ear, like he flinched before you heard the gunshot.
Right, because
it was a supersonic. It's a supersonic round. It travels faster than the sound that it makes. He flinched as you heard the gunshot. It was 135, 140 yards away.
It's not supersonic because it didn't break Mach 1. They don't travel that fast, but it does take time for sound to travel.
Well, the 223.
Does it go Mach 1?
Yeah, Steve, my arrow.
223. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't think it did.
We even got that image of the bullet passing.
I've seen that.
It was insane to see that it was like that.
So I have a .25 caliber pre-charged pneumatic air rifle that does nearly Mach 1. It's transonic. The 223 absolutely is faster than sound. It absolutely is, because otherwess that suppressed shot.
I'll take the correction on that. I mean, it just.
Otherwise, those suppressed sounds, those suppressed. If that was a subsonic rifle suppressed, you wouldn't have heard the cranks coming off of it. What you were hearing was the bullet breaching the sound barrier, not the report from the muzzle.
It goes. Okay, so I just looked it up. A .223. It can go 3,200 feet per second, and it's going at 1,660 feet per second. And the speed of sound.
Yeah. So speed of sound is 900 feet per second.
Something, right?
950 per second.
Yeah. So it's going about Mach 2, maybe, give or take. Mach 1.8.
Yeah,
or
it is
something?
absolutely faster than the speed of sound. Otherwise, you wouldn't.
Yeah, you're right.
Otherwise,
you're
the only sound you'd have heard was the round cracking that guy's skull.
All right. Well, since you corrected me and I have acknowledged my mistake, I now have to block you and curse you. Second generation. I don't. Look, dude. I don't make the rules. Okay. I don't make.
It just happens.
It's just the way it is.
Well, I do have to get a move on though, Steve. I will. If you do a part 2 tonight, I will.
All right, I'll hit you up. Yeah, I know you got to go to work. So.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you, Steve, for joining me.
One thing I do want to say, it's not just. One thing I do want to say, it's not just CNN. It's also ABC. It's MSNBC. There's anybody that was mainly left-wing shill would have writing. Like one of them even says, Trump hears noise and then falls in rally. Like it was just noise. It wasn't a gunshot. And that's one thing that a lot of these news organizations are avoiding. The second that they are able to say assassination attempt, Trump wins. Because no assassination attempt has happened.
They pushed the waiting for the facts narrative to the most ridiculous of possible extremes until they just had to accept it. Basically,
look, it's obvious that somebody wanted him dead, and people are supporting this. So Trump was right on that. Now, a couple people in the live audience. One person says that Destiny would come talk to the three of us, but I'm not interested in having that discussion with Destiny. No offense, I just really have no interest in speaking with the man. Some people say he's not a contrarian, but here's the thing: like somebody says, Sodarash says, using Trump derangement syndrome as just an excuse to ignore criticism. Is there crazy people who make horrible arguments? Yes. Or is there crazy people that make horrible arguments? Yes. But TDS is becoming like social justice warrior or woke and DEI. So to an extreme, yes. But here's the thing though: we're talking about descriptors, and we're describing people like Destiny, who's using this tragedy yesterday of the death of an American on American soil by a homegrown American terrorist to promote his political hatred against Trump. And he's not even caring that somebody died. Matter of fact, he's
stepping
saying,
on the graves.
I'll send you to his rally so you can be shot too. We don't care about you.
So we don't know which round hit which person yet. It seems pretty clear that the first shot is the shot that was aimed at Trump. My interpretation of it, so this is purely from the perspective of hunting, so I hunt with semi-automatic rifles. So my interpretation of what happened here is that the first 3 rounds came in very close succession. It was bang, bang, bang. And then after that, there was a pause. And then there was another 4, maybe 5 rounds. I think there was like somewhere between 6 and 8 shot in total. And it seems that after Trump was down and out of view, he then just started targeting the crowd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, Steve, so you got to take off so I can. So I can send your people to social media. Follow him on Twitter as I do.
The Silenced One. Yep, because we do have a show coming up this Wednesday. I named it this for a different reason, but since this is the event that happened, we're going to talk about that as well. I named it. It's the Silence Banter, episode 7. Back to the lab again. So,
and I'll try to be there. I was just co-host for the last one. It was fun. It was really, really fun. It was actually
great.
I've listened to some
great.
of your
So thank you for
before,
having me co-host
the last
here.
one we did was great. I really thought it was one of the better episodes. I'm sorry, not that
Thank
because
you.
I was on it. It was just fun.
It was a lot of fun, and that's what I try to have because there's a lot of fun stories we go over and stuff like that. It's just a good time on a Twitter space, and that's all I really wanted for the show. But thank you for having me here. Let me know if you do a part 2 tonight.
I will.
Yep. Later, everybody. And thank you, John Foley, for coming on in and offering that perspective.
Yeah, if you guys are not following us on Twitter, then you're missing out on half the stuff that's going on. I mean, Twitter has been my go-to. That's why I decided to go blue, because I like the edit, I like the longer forms, and that's how I express myself. So I think Twitter is definitely the place to be if you have any interest in these topics.
Well, have you seen that Musk has now formally endorsed Trump as well? This.
Yeah, I know. So Destiny says you have no obligation to support anti-democratic dictators in a democratic country, which, again, constitutional republic. We didn't vote for independence. But here's the thing: I agree you have no obligations to support. That doesn't mean you have an obligation to incite your audience to justify political assassination. Nothing in the world, in my mind's eye, justifies such a thing in America. We're not a country like that. We're not a third world country. We have an American process. We have due process. You don't assassinate American political leaders. Now, people can get into the argument, well, America's assassinated political leaders in other countries, CIA. Okay, I agree. That has happened. I'm not even going to deny that. But we're talking about America.
I don't want to drag in the two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah. I mean, it's tu quo quo, and it's completely, there's other factors involved. We're talking about an American soil here. America has something called posse comitatus, that prevents.
Posse comitatus. Yeah.
Yeah. Posse comitatus. Is that how you pronounce it? Is that what it is?
Well, that's how I would pronounce it in the Latin.
How do you pronounce it? Posse comitatus.
Posse comitatus.
Yeah. So it basically is the doctrine that we cannot use military on American soil, especially against civilians.
Yeah.
But
it's the segregation. It's the segregation of the civilian force and the military force. So the original argument was that the police, the civilian force exists to protect the populace from essentially from one another, and the armed forces, the military, exists to defend the populace from the enemy of the state.
Correct.
And the problem is that when the military becomes the police, then the enemy of the state quickly becomes the populace.
Yeah, and that's the problem, because you're now equating the military with the population, which becomes a militant state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the military become the enemy of people, and the people become the enemy of the military, and they just have at one another, and then your state ends.
Right. So they don't want. I mean, understand they bring out the National Guard every so often, but
it is the foundational point of view. It's the foundational principle of why the Second Amendment exists in the first place.
But do you agree? I mean, are you reading Destiny's tweets the way I am, that he is the one being
I think
because he's literally supporting assassination, which is about as anti-democratic as you get.
He's advocating the position that Trump is so bad as a person, in his opinion, in his subjective opinion, that it justifies an individual removing the right of the rest of the population, 50% of the population, to vote for this person by having him essentially executed in public on a stage.
By the way, thoughts by Joe
it's
Brown.
Fucking mad.
Come in, let me
sorry, it's effing mad. Jesus,
it is.
Steve,
It
I'm
really
so sorry.
Jay Brown, if you want to come in, I know Jay Brown probably has a lot to add on this. Please let me know. Like Jesse says, I'll condemn it once the Republicans condemn the insurrection. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way. That is so whataboutism in two cool ways. It's ridiculous that you can condemn both. You can say, look, I can condemn this, and also the other side should condemn the insurrection. That doesn't preclude you from making a morally proper statement condemning an assassination attempt. And not only he's not issuing a statement condemning it, he's actively supporting it.
It's also that, I mean, obviously I mentioned Brandenburg in a comment earlier. If Trump was legitimately convinced that there was some shenanigans going on with the election, and I mean, there's things like, all I need you to do is find 11,000 votes. If you view that in its most critical light and the most uncharitable light, he's literally saying, like, find me 11,000 ballots.
Yeah, I think it could be good either way.
Also,
right? I don't know if he was telling somebody to make up.
But what I mean is there's a grey area there, right? There isn't a grey area when you're sending ordnance downrange at the political candidate. That is not a grey area. One is definitely worse than the other.
I agree. Somebody said we're on Destiny stream. I want to make it very clear. I don't recall talking to Destiny. I have nothing against the guy personally at all. I really, honest to God, don't. I'm just not a fan of that kind of form, that kind of debates that he does. So it's just never been an interest of mine. I'm only criticizing what he's saying. I am not attacking him personally, and I have no interest in rising up his following, because I know how visceral that can be. I just talk about my opinions. I give the facts of the matter. And I'm not the only one. Obviously, like Jordan Peterson, he said, I interviewed you because I thought you were representative of a youthful progressive left. Everyone reading your tweets from today can draw their own conclusions about that. So I'm not the only one that's recognizing this weird behavior that I think Destiny's doing, and I don't know what's motivating it, because I find that anybody who's arguing that assassination is something that should be viable in America is scary.
And I don't want Destiny's doing that. I just don't. He has a huge following, and he knows he's influencing people.
The best light that I can view Destiny's position in here is that he's victim blaming, in that Trump's brought this on himself. That's the best light that, if I'm being charitable, that's the best light that I can view this.
Well, it's a combination. Look, the far left and the far right has both done this. Like I said, I've made it very clear. Biden has made some extremely hyperbolic rhetorical claims.
Well,
like to say that you never use the word bullseye. You put him in a bullseye to a president candidate. You do not do that.
I mean, look. I mean, let's be honest. Because he's so immobile, Biden would make a better target to shoot at. But he actually has to do some public engagements first. So.
All right, I'm going to boost up my audio here. Somebody says I'm still quiet, so Pipeline Audio, who knows audio. So that's the best I can get right now. Is that better, Pipeline Audio? So, I mean, I know John's just way quiet. He's not. I think he's on his phone because he's usually louder when he's on his laptop or he's on his computer.
No. I'm on my usual headset, but because you always complain that I'm too loud, I've just moved the mic further away.
Oh, that's fine.
So.
Before you were quiet, so I had to boost your gain up. So let me know if that's better, Pipeline. But again, I'm not starting a feud with Destiny at all. I have no interest in that. I have no interest in becoming a topic for his discussion. And I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody on YouTube. He has much bigger fish that he can talk about with Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro. And like I said, he has been on the show, and I respect that. I respect Destiny's ability to influence people from social media. I just think that him promoting the belief that assassination is something that should be glorified and approved, I can't be a part of that. I cannot support that. That makes no sense to me. Why anybody would do that? I mean, I'm not saying Destiny's even wrong on some of the things he's saying about the political landscape and about the far left and the far right. But this is not the way to go about it, in my opinion, man.
Yeah, the Destiny, in my opinion, has always been. He's obviously somebody that I disagree with on particular positions, but he's always been, as far as I can tell, a bit of a contrarian, but is usually quite measured and has always, generally speaking, been able to back up the positions that he's taken.
Yeah, he had some reason for what he was saying. Some core belief that I hope that it mapped to.
This does just seem. I can't. If I had to guess, I'd say that he's taken a lot of criticism recently for being from the extreme left in his audience for being too right, and this is his opportunity to sort of rebalance to appease his audience. I mean,
but why would you not denounce this? I mean, he says he'll denounce it if the Republicans denounce the insurrection, but why would we even wait for something like that?
There's no if that then this. This is
that's not how ethics works. And then this is obviously he had to know this was.
Destiny is smart enough to know that as well.
Of course. Oh no, Destiny is extremely smart. He wouldn't be in the position that he's in if he wasn't extremely smart. The guy is a social media guru. I'm not going to take it away from the guy. I don't have to agree with him on things to say that he's articulate, he's intelligent, but I do find him to be contrarian a lot. But this is what bothers me. Because he's looking at a picture here that has somebody that has been shot, an innocent victim on American soil, an American, and he says all I see is Biden up +1 in Pennsylvania. Again, wrong tone here. I'm sorry, but I'm looking at the fact that this happened on American soil, that an innocent person was killed by an American terrorist, and yet he's more concerned about Biden being up +1.
So this is actually. In a weird way, from the perspective of democracy, shooting at a candidate is actually worse than shooting at the president. The reason being is that if somebody shoots at a president, the president is in office because the people have voted for them. They've had their opportunity to vote for that person. They've put them in power, and now that person has been removed from power because they've essentially been killed.
Yeah.
Shooting at the candidate is robbing people of the right to vote for that person in the first place. It's taking away the choice of the democratic people, the democratic choice.
I absolutely agree. And look, I wouldn't have voted for either one. I'm not like I said, I'm not a Trump fan or Biden fan. I'm like independent libertarian kind of guy. So somebody says it starts with Saturn. Cool name, by the way. He says, all you have to do is talk to him, Steve. You hosted it before on your channel, which, again, I don't remember if I was on the episode or not. It's been so long. He said he would more than willing to listen to you, or he would be more than willing to listen to you. I don't think that he probably remembers me, to be honest with you, Saturn. He was on the show a very long time ago, and the only reason he might know me is because we have a very mutual friend, Brittany Simon, who I absolutely adore. She is a content creator that does content on current events. She has a little shtick about bubbles, and I don't know if she still is, but she used to be a good friend with Destiny, very, very good friend, and they were talking all the time. And as people know, I absolutely adore Brittany because I know her in real life. She lived like 15 minutes from me, and so we would go out all the time and have coffee together and discuss philosophy and stuff like that. So she was a personal friend of mine, and so that's the only reason that Destiny might know who I am, because they talked, because he's been on the show so long ago that I doubt he would remember. But I don't know what his situation was with Brittany. I haven't talked to her in a few months, so I don't know if they're still friends. But I absolutely adore Brittany Simon, and so anybody who doesn't know her, go find her channel. She's just a sweet person, to say the least. But anyways, going back to this, and I'm sure you mind if I remember who I was, but because again, I've never been attacking Destiny. I've never ever. I mean, in the years Destiny has said stuff, I've never even commentated on him before. This is just something. Was I in the episode? Starts with Stan, says you were on the episode. It was about mail-in voting or something on that matter. Oh yeah, I remember that. It was about voting by proxy, mail-in votes, and I think IDs maybe. I do remember now. Yeah, I do remember that. Oh my God, that was so long ago though.
Sorry,
I have 3,000 videos, man. So it's hard to remember them all.
I may be misreading this, but I presume this post from Destiny here. He's not. He says, all I see is Biden +1 in Pennsylvania, is because it was obviously he's not saying that he's up +1 in the polls in Pennsylvania. He's saying he's up +1 voter in Pennsylvania.
No. I think he's talking about polls. No. I think he's talking about polls.
Well, see, I read that as he's saying he's up +1 in Pennsylvania because, as in, relatively speaking, a Republican voter has just been killed.
No, I don't think so. I think he's talking. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he's that bad. I'm not
because there's no way that he thinks this has helped Biden in Pennsylvania. There's no way Biden is up +1 in the polls.
Yeah, I am going to give Destiny the benefit of the doubt here because I try to be charitable, right? You know that me. I always take Steelman people. I always take the most charitable approach because I don't like to strawman people, and I don't like to attribute meanings and connotations to people that are not deserving. So I'm going to assume, until I'm told otherwise, that he means Biden is a +1 in the polls, not that he's up +1 voter. I didn't even think about that till you said something, though.
But that doesn't make any sense. +1 voter makes sense, but because this isn't going to help Biden. This is going to help Trump, surely.
Oh, you got a good point there. Shoot, why would this help Biden?
Which makes this even more fucking evil. He's basically saying it's a good thing that this person died.
Yeah, because I think the consensus is I don't see anybody arguing that what happened yesterday helps Biden. I don't think anybody's argued that, have they?
But this is exactly why I'm reading it this way.
So let me ask the audience. How are you guys reading this? Is Destiny saying that he's saying all I see is Biden up +1 in Pennsylvania because somebody got killed? And that, you know what? That actually is in line with what he was saying before, because he was talking about, I'll send you to the Trump Valley so he gets shot. A person, a Republican was killed yesterday, or whatever. No big loss. Whatever he was saying something along the lines of, it was no big deal that somebody was killed yesterday. I don't remember the exact wording, but it was in his tweets. But something along the lines. You might be right. Shoot, I might stand corrected again. That's twice you've corrected me. Again, I'm going to have to curse your lineage.
If I'm reading it correct, that is fucking evil.
That's evil. Yeah, that's evil, man. Because whoever got shot because they haven't released the victim, that person had a family. That person had a family.
The family was stood next to them in the fucking stand. There's video footage of a witness giving an interview with a media organization. I forget which one. Was saying that their family didn't know what the fuck happened. They just this person's just head snapped back and they dropped dead.
I don't. And again, maybe Destiny will clarify. I don't think he's going to ever watch this. Obviously, why would he? But I would like to know what Destiny meant by this. Did Destiny mean?
If he's
right. Why would he mean Biden up one in the poll? You're right.
If he's up +1 in the polls, he's just plainly fucking wrong.
I try to be charitable, and I'm trying to look at the best, because again, I'm not here to criticize Destiny as a person. I have no ill will to the guy whatsoever. This is not personal by any stretch of the imagination, I assure you.
But what does he mean by this? Then you're right. I mean, is he talking about Biden being +1 up in the polls because a voter was killed?
I should be honest. I should be fair here. I am all game for dark humor, but
that's not dark
I like
humor.
to
That's
at least
sick.
wait.
I like to
wait until the body's. I like to wait until the body's cold before I start joking about it.
Right. I mean, so somebody said he's really doing dark humor. Look, I'm all for dark humor. I really am. But there is a time and a place for dark humor. And you don't use dark humor immediately after an event when there's tragedy of an innocent person dying. The dark humor is not to condemn and criticize an innocent person or to use them as mockery when somebody has died and they did nothing wrong. I understand later on, we cope. Like, here's the thing. When I use dark humor, I do it because it's a coping mechanism, like most of us. Destiny's not using dark humor as a coping mechanism. He's using it as a
making
ironic
weapon. Points or...
Yeah, there's a big difference there. It's not a coping mechanism for him. It is a political statement to weaponize the events that happened yesterday. And I'm sorry, but I cannot support that.
So dark humor for me is like, if I've had it, like when me and my mates have been doing something particularly stupid, we've been drunk, we've been messing around, and somebody's like taken a tumble, they've fallen off a high place, or just, as soon as you establish that the person is alive and not seriously injured, let the jokes fly.
Yeah.
But up until that point, you don't, your concern is for your mate.
Yeah.
Whereas with this is the person is dead. Some lunatic has just cranked rounds off into a crowd of people. The first one being the person that clearly 50%, probably more than 50% of the country wants to vote for, has narrowly missed. And
my audience might be right. Sudarish says, again, you can say it's not appropriate and wrong. I can respect that. Thank you. I am simply saying that's the intention, not that Biden is up in the poll. And you might be right. It might just be dark humor. But if it is, it's a little inappropriate, especially at the expense of an innocent victim. I don't. And it's sad because dark humor is dark, right? It's supposed to be dark, but this is a little bit much even for me.
I don't tone police people. I'm not critiquing people's humor, but I'm genuinely confused about what he means here. Because if it's up +1 in the polls, then he's talking about the incident as a whole. If he's talking about up +1 as a vote, then it seems like he's saying that it's a good thing that this person was killed because they were a Trump supporter. Contextually, they are two very, very different things.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if anybody can send me, you can send me something on Twitter, just if you want. That's fine. So Destiny says, and he's talking about the quartering, and I've had no experience with the quartering whatsoever. I don't even think I might have seen some clips, obviously, but I don't watch him. I could barely remember what he looks like. So I'm not really a fan of the quartering. Not anything personal to him. It's not something I watch. But Destiny says, you said you were free on Friday. Why would I DM you if you're publicly stated a time? Just give time and date right now, mate. I would watch that, though. I'd watch him in the quartering, because the quartering says you randomly quote tweeted me and called that I have a, quote, debate set up. You're too old to be this unserious. I followed you so you could DM me. You never DM'd a time. A link to connect you did literally nothing, and you're acting like I ran. All you had to do was text a time and link. And I will probably say, for when I have seen the quartering on Twitter, he's not somebody who really runs from a debate. So
quartering's pretty good.
Yeah, so I would have to say that there was a miscommunication there or something, because if quartering wants to debate somebody, he's going to debate somebody, right?
Well, I place him firmly in the reasonable section.
So Steve sent me something. It basically says, I'm not going to show it, but it basically has Trump right winger said this, a Trump flipping off people in black and white, and it says, "You miss, bitches." I'm telling you, but here's the thing. I mean, Trump is going to utilize this for his campaign. He already did. Matter of fact, immediately after the debate, or during the debate. I'm sorry, during the debate between him and Joe Biden, the Trump organization was already putting out stuff that Trump was Biden was saying for political commercials. So Trump is going to politicize this and use it for his advantage. And I think he's absolutely.
Why wouldn't he?
So. Yeah, why wouldn't he?
Yeah,
it'd be silly not to.
If somebody bloody shot at me and I was running for political office, and I had the opportunity to use it to my benefit, I'd literally, just absolutely. The quick thing that the thing that I've seen floating around quite a lot on social media, nothing to do with Destiny, but ever so quickly, because I'm interested to get your view on this, Steve.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So there's a bit in the, obviously, rounds cranking off, Secret Service jump on him, pull him to the ground, or try and pull him to the ground because he was fighting him off because he's a nutter.
Yeah, he's up there like standing up with his raised fist, going, "Hey, you missed, man."
Doesn't know if there's any other shooters.
I will give him that. The dude has balls of freaking steel, bro. Balls of steel. He thinks he must. I really do think he's invincible. I think he actually believes that he's invincible.
So people have been saying that the reason that they think that it's staged, which I absolutely don't, and anybody who does think it's staged is mad.
Yeah.
But firstly, on the assumption that we believe that his ear was actually shot, I don't care what range you're shooting from. Trump is a very enigmatic, mobile person, even stood at a podium. It was in relatively high wind, by all accounts, based on my experience from shooting, and Trump's moving about. I don't care how good of a shot you are, how good of a marksman you are. You cannot guarantee me that you're going to take a little chunk out of a person's ear from 140 yards away. I don't care what you're shooting. That's not a possible shot. You couldn't do the same shot twice.
No, he wasn't aiming for that. No, he was not aiming for that. That was that
he was aiming for Trump's head.
Yes,
it was
absolutely.
just lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. I
completely understand. Once they've wrestled him to the ground, and he, and you can hear him on the ground, and he's arguing with this Secret Service. He's like, "Oh, I need my shoes. I need my shoes." And dude, again, well, if he'd just actually been shot for real, he wouldn't be worried about his shoes. And
I'm not going to say that. Here's the thing.
Hang on.
Okay.
This is a person in shock. So they've wrestled him to the ground.
Right. That's what
they're checking him. They're making sure. The Secret Service took his shoes off. They didn't fall off. They took his shoes off because they were looking for injuries on his body whilst he was in the dogpile. They're looking for femoral injuries. There is a femoral artery that runs down to your foot. They're looking for life-endangering injuries, for blood.
For blood.
Right?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you 100%, and that's part of the protocol.
He's trying to get back up. He's fighting them, and he's asking for his shoes, like, "No, where's my shoes?" This is a shock reaction.
But like you said, he's
exactly
in shock.
Same reaction. It's exactly the same reaction as we see when people are mortally injured in combat. They have limbs removed, and they're looking for their limbs because the limb has their watch on.
Yeah, I'm absolutely in agreement with you.
That's exactly the same reaction.
Yeah,
you cannot fake that.
I believe that what we witnessed was something that was absolutely 100% legit. And anybody who's, like saying that's not a normal reaction, it absolutely is for somebody, especially with Trump being, and like I said, I believe that he is a narcissist. He is going to, feel empowered. He's going to feel invincible because that's his entire life.
I don't even think that when he was fighting the Secret Service off, and he got back to his feet and he pumped his fist in the air and went, "Fight, fight, fight." I don't even think he knew what he was doing then.
But it's instinctual to him. I think it's instinctual for him.
I think that's his instincts. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Sauter says in older tweets, Destiny mentioned that he had a day open Friday, and the quartering didn't tweet or message him back. He's avoiding it. Well, they're talking about it here, right? We never DM'd or spoke about it publicly. Here's the DMs. But again, how hard is it to arrange something? Look, we've all arranged debates. Destiny and the quartering, myself, a million other people on YouTube have arranged debates. Okay, this is what the show did for years, right? Even though the course of the show has changed over the years, it did debates at one time. We all know how to do this. If they really wanted to have a debate, they can make this happen, no problem. There's even if they had communication issues with each other, there's people that can act as middlemen between these two. So I'm not buying this on this back and forth on Twitter.
Sorry, Steve. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
All right. So yeah, if they want to make that happen, they could easily make that happen. But I have seen people like I've been in situations. I was like, look, you never messaged me. I messaged you on this, and then they never got back to me or whatever. But they're both saying, oh, they both ran from debating. Okay, well, this was 16 hours ago. Now that your guys are communicating Destiny and the quartering, let's make it happen. I would watch that. I would totally watch that. Like I said, I just don't watch the quartering. I know very little about the guy. I read some of his tweets, but I'm completely neutral to the guy. and I would watch both of them, and I would just do a critique on it, who I thought would have a better argument, because that's what I like doing. I like reviewing debates more than having them nowadays. No offense to my audience, but it's just, I mean, I still have debates, obviously. I just had Casey Luskin from the Discovery Institute debate Dr. Dan on junk DNA, which is still ongoing, by the way. Dr. Dan just told me some interesting stuff yesterday about DI's claims on junk DNA, and that I have to follow up on. So that's an ongoing debate, and probably will be for quite some time. And like I said, look, all cards on the table. Casey Luskin is very friendly with me. I mean, the guy and I probably might one day go have a beer together. I have no issue with him as a person. He's been very cordial to me. Doesn't mean I have to agree with his religion, his intelligent design, or anything he says about junk DNA. I do not. I am 100% in the camp of Dr. Dan when it comes to biology and evolutionary biology, and when it comes to junk DNA and intelligent design. I am 100%, let me make this clear, I am 100% in Dr. Dan's camp. He's absolutely unequivocally correct from everything in my lay understanding of the topic that I've read. He seems to always be correct, and I do check into the facts. But that doesn't mean that I have any kind of ill will toward Casey Luskin, and Casey Luskin knows that we don't agree on this particular topic. But I will say that he's been a very nice guy to me. And so I'm not going to take that away from him. Does that make sense? I really hope it does, because people are like, oh, Steve's so friendly with creationists. I'm like, yeah, if they don't treat me like crap, I'm going to be very friendly with them and nice. And that's how you should be. It doesn't,
You mean you could be friendly with people that you disagree with, Steve?
I know, weird,
what
right?
What sort of inhuman animal are you?
I'm such a bad person. And here's the thing. I've known Casey long enough to tell you that he actually does believe his stuff. Dr. Dan's saying, he lies about this and that. And that might very well be true. But I do believe that Casey Luskin actually 100% agrees, believes what he's saying, and that's the kind of person that I would be friends with. I don't want a person who will say something who doesn't believe what they are saying. That's just a contrarian. That's just a Poe. I have no interest in that. That's why I don't do anything much with flat earthers any longer, because I find that 99% of them, I think, are just Poes. I know Red Rhetoric thinks that, most of them actually really believe the earth is flat, and Reds and I have had that discussion many, many times, and maybe it's my naivety. Maybe it's me not wanting to believe there are actually people stupid enough out there to believe flat Earth. And there are some, but I do think the vast majority of them are faking it. And I think Reds agrees that the big ones are, like Eric DeBay, or DeBay, whatever. Eric DeBay and Darrenism and Nathan Oakley, all those guys. I don't think for a second any of them actually believe their own BS, so... Anyways,
is this Destiny at the bottom here? At least you're too fat to miss.
Where's that at?
Scroll back up. No, other way. At least you're too fat to miss, you subhuman, hypocritical piece of shit.
Wow. So again, this is like saying, hey, Quartering's overweight, therefore somebody who shoots at him they won't miss. Dude, come on, Destiny. I tell you this. I'm just saying, as a neutral person, this is not a good look. And yet, is Destiny going to have any ramifications from this? No. He'll lose a few thousand subs. He already lost a few thousand followers. It's not going to affect him in the long run in any way. Matter of fact, it might just solidify his base even more. Right, culling and cultivating
the part of his base that's extreme left that hates him being moderate will be just eating this up.
And the right will be all over it too, watching his stuff to criticize him. So this is how it works on social media, right? You say some inflammatory things apparently, and you get both sides. You have the people that agree with you, and then the people that hate watch you. Either way, it's interactions. When somebody's making $1 million a year off YouTube, it's interaction. Now, I'm not saying that. Let me make this very clear. I do believe Destiny believes everything he's saying. I don't think he's saying this just for attention or views or anything like that. I do not. I really believe this is Destiny's core values that you're seeing here. I believe he is. I hate to say it, but I believe he's being honest to himself.
Honestly, I'm based on what I'm looking at here compared to the person that I'm used to observing. I'm wondering if this is some kind of breakdown based on.
No, I don't think so. I think this has been all along. I think this is just him being a little more outright about it, right?
Well, you think this is true Destiny, not courting audience, as opposed to this.
It's too visceral. It's too. Look, you see me when I get visceral. You see me when I have a passionate thing that I'm passionate about, and you know me well enough to know that I
put out what I believe, right? I do not I do not troll. I do not. People on Facebook all the time is like, oh, Steve comes into the Facebook group and just spews nonsense and trolls. I'm like, no, this is actually my views, right?
Your core message is always the same. The changes in the delivery.
Yes, exactly.
Basically. Yeah.
But can you imagine if a right winger was out there saying we should assassinate people that are trans rights activists that we disagree with? I mean, what's the difference? One's political, one's ideological, but you're advocating the assassination of a person who has an ideologically different position than you.
My personal opinion on how these scales have changed is, if we went back to the 90s, early thousands, it was the extreme right wing, super religious. They were the censorious ones. They were we've definitely become. There's definitely the table's been flipped over. I can't see it any other way, and I'm not a religious person. I was never in favor of the right wing, and I'm not a progressive person, and I've never been in favor of the extreme left wing. My position is fundamentally my position is just leave me the hell alone. And if the right want to interject into my life, I'm going to tell them to bugger off. And if the left want to interject into my life, I'm going to tell them to bugger off.
That's the benefit of being central. So let me ask you this.
Fundamentally, my position is just leave me the hell alone. The people that right now are trying to interject in my life more than anybody else are the people on the extreme left, not the extreme right. The extreme right are almost non-existent as far as I can tell.
No, there's both. But there's an interesting conversation going in the live chat that I want to ask you about, because they're arguing basically, if this was staged or not, and Sodash has argued that, look, he wouldn't put it past Trump, and Sneed says that no, it's ridiculous to think that he's so narcissistic that he would potentially end his own life to be a bump at the polls. That's magical thinking on your part, and I agree. Look, this is not staged.
Yeah.
This is take that off the table, okay? Nobody in the right mind would think this is staged. The amount of planning to have this stage would be. Come on, the government can't even keep a secret a day. You think that they're going to have the Secret Service, the police, and everybody involved in that thing? It's not going to happen. Trump is not going to be able to communicate to pull this off. It does not work that way.
So can we just let's just assume, based on the video footage that we've got, that Trump was actually injured in the ear, right? Can we?
Yes, I'm going to think that we all could agree he was injured.
So in the live chat, what was on the red on his ear wasn't ketchup, all right? Can we? Does the live chat?
A real person died. A real person did die yesterday, maybe more.
So we're talking about actual rounds being fired at actual people in a legitimate situation. They're not holograms.
It wasn't a blank, fake and blood.
Yeah. So, if we accept those parameters for the discussion, then what we're asking Trump to have done is knowingly and willingly stepped foot on a podium in front of a bunch of innocent bystanders, knowing that 5 to 6 minutes into his speech, somebody was going to start shooting rounds at him on the basis that they were going to remove a chunk off of one of his earlobes.
Yeah, he probably thought it was a gnat. I mean, the way he reacted was like a bee sting or something,
So, firstly, this is an unrepeatable event. If I don't care how good of a shot you are, for those of us who do shoot, we know this is an unrepeatable event. If you did this again, if you ran the situation again on the basis that you are trying to shoot a chunk off of Trump's ear, if you put him on that stadium again and said, right, shoot the same part of his ear at the same time, you cannot do it again.
Yeah, not at that range. It's. I've seen.
It was actually relatively close. Range.
Yeah. I agree. 150, whatever meters, 200 meters, regardless. 140 meters.
It was 125 to 140 yards. So I have a pre-charged pneumatic rifle. It's chambered in 117, and it's powered. It runs at about 24 joules, which is 18 foot-pounds. muzzle energy, it's about 800 feet per second at the muzzle. And I can drop rounds
that's some good
in
energy,
low.
though.
It is, but it's a tiny round. It only weighs 13.5 grains. It's really tiny, so it's really buffeted about by the wind. But in low wind, I can drop that round into an inch, like a 50 pence piece, an inch radius, repeatedly.
Which is about the size of the ear completely.
About the size of the ear.
But not the same
I
top.
can't do it on
I
can't do it on a fucking moving target. I can't do it on a I can't put the round exactly the same place every time because there are too many parameters.
Yeah, and look, I've fired rifles before. It's very difficult on a target moving like that.
And here's the thing: like all of the rifles that I shoot. So I've got a few rifles, and some of them are PCPs, some of them are live fire. So you use cartridges, and I'm FAC certified in the UK, which means I'm licensed. This is not a repeatable shot. You couldn't do the same thing twice, which means that Trump going into it knows, if he knows this is the objective, he has a good chance of fucking dying.
Yeah, it's just insanity. There's no way
insane.
that it's insanity.
So the only way that this is staged is if they're not live rounds. But we know that they're live rounds because people have had their brains rearranged.
Yeah, and by the way, let me make it very clear, Sodash is not arguing that it was staged, so he's not saying that. I think his argument was basically, look, Trump is so narcissistic that he's not putting anything past him, and I can get that, but
I agree.
But this is even too far for him. Somebody had wrote this though. They said, Soda says, Destiny tends to be reciprocal in personal attacks. Basically, we can roll in the mud together if you want, and the quartering has done that in spades. Yeah, again, like I said, I get that. I'm like that as well. I give what I get. So I'm not condemning Destiny as a person per se. I'm not I'm not attacking him. I'm not using any personal attacks. I'm just literally going by what I'm seeing on social media here. So I want to make that very clear because I don't need his audience inflamed about me because, again, I got nothing against the guy. I really don't. Like I said, I know that my friend Brittany got along with him just fabulously. So I'm sure he's a personable guy. But I just never covered him before until something like this because I just don't understand. I cannot fathom why anybody with such a large audience would use it to promote the assassination of a president. I just don't. So, anyways, let's see what else we got here. Well, I'll wander that situation with Destiny and quartering. If they do debate, I will review that. I will be happy to. I guess Destiny and Wick TV are having issues as well. Let me see here. He says, I haven't read this one. I will say I was worried for a minute about what would happen if Biden, if he ordered this. But then I remember, thank God, conservatives all agree the president has absolute criminal immunity when acting in his role of commander-in-chief. Yeah, acting as role in commander-in-chief, but you are not allowed to take out your political opponents by assassinations. That's not covered under criminal immunity. Okay, that's not covered. People have been arguing that it is because of the ruling of SCOTUS, but I don't think that's an arguable thing. I don't think that that's covered under a job function. Is your job function, if you're acting as president, that's not covered to try to politically assassinate your opponents. I think that would be charged. Now, I see people saying, well, no, the POTUS ruled otherwise. You can do whatever you want. I'm not quite sure that I'm reading it that way. But again, there's been so much legalese on that matter, and both sides saying the president can, the president can't. Even back in the day, John, when there was a question whether the president could release secret and confidential and top secret documents. Was Trump able to make anything not top secret? Could he bring all his documents to Mar-a-Lago? There's questionalities there because Trump is the most unique president in the history of America. Let's put it this way. He really is. He's tested the waters on what is legal and not legal that the forefathers had never intention of ever even thinking about. Right? John, you still there? All right. I don't know where John went. But I mean, to think that, Biden would order something like that, that's just, again, that is hyperbole. I will give Destiny that. That's hyperbole. What else we got? And this was 18 hours ago. He said, I'm honestly conflicted on how I feel about the shooting, but we'll chat about it on stream tomorrow. Yeah, I don't think he's conflicted at all here. I think that he, if anything, and I'm sad to say this, but I really do think that Destiny was disappointed that the assassination attempt didn't succeed. And I'm sorry, but that is unconscionable. That is unethical. And no matter how much you hate a person in the political arena, look, I understand personal vendettas. I do. I have nothing against, people that you despise, wishing ill will upon them. I'm completely okay with that. Not that means you should ever act it out. I would never act out my feelings like that. I do not believe that anything justifies taking the life of a person merely because of things that have transpired in your life. The only time taking the life of a person is justified is when you're an immediate existential threat. That's it. That's one thing when you're trained for a firearm, right? When I did have my concealed weapons permit, you're trained on the rules of firing safety, and you realize that the only time you should ever fire that weapon is if you are in immediate danger. That's it. Not after the fact, and because people you see a lot of times with weapons will go, to a neighbor's house and then use that firearm. That's murder. No matter what they did to you, that's murder. And I understand justifications. I get when, if the feeling we have if somebody does something to our family members, to a child, and that you want to, as a father, if somebody does something to my child, I understand that feeling. I get it. I really, honestly get it. And so you can empathize with a parent that takes justice in their own hands, but I don't advocate for that because I think it's not how we should have society. If everybody did vigilantism, we would not have a functional society. But you can understand the pain that's involved with that. You can understand the emotional trauma of a person who believes that their own child has been victimized and harmed in some way where they would take the action in their own hands. But unfortunately, what happens if that person was innocent? And even if they weren't, are you the judge, jury, and executioner? That's why we have a political system. That's why we have a judicial system for people that have committed those types of crimes. But I don't think Destiny was conflicted at all here. So I'm just going to say that. I don't believe Destiny was conflicted. I think that he was just disappointed that the shooter missed. And I really hate to say that. I really do. So Jay Brown says, Steve, you're correct about the immunity. Official acts only. Yeah, I thought, and I'm pretty sure that I was too. Although I think that people out there are arguing that, oh, no, he can do whatever he wants. And I don't read it like that, And then somebody asks, well, how do you review it to determine an official act? Well, I don't know how you can justify assassination of your political opponents as an official act. I don't know how that would ever be construed as an official act, right? But anyways, I am going to end this. I think I got out what I really wanted to say. And thank you, John, for joining me. Thank you, Steve, for joining me. And I don't think Destiny's conflicted. But again, I want to make it very clear because I don't need a bunch of people coming into my comment section soy-boying for Destiny. I'm not attacking Destiny. I don't need any blowback. I don't need his viewers. I don't need his review because he'll never probably ever watch this. But if he does, I'm just hoping he takes the fair criticism for what it is. He didn't with Jordan Peterson. He didn't with the quartering. He didn't with Colin Wright, who I'm a huge fan of. And I'm certainly don't think he would with me either. And I'm okay with that because, that's just the way he wants to run. But for you guys listening, I'm not starting a beef with Destiny. I'm not. I'm saying all this, the same thing that other people are saying that I've read that are just saying, maybe dial it back some, man. It's looking very bad that you're not having any compassion for the person who lost their life yesterday, and that somebody tried to usurp the democratic process by taking the political process into their own hands by trying to execute a political candidate. I'm sorry. There's nothing that justifies that. There's just nothing. John, I'm gonna end this anyways, but yeah, I'll give you a link real quick to join to have your last thoughts. Absolutely. So Shill says I need a nap. Oh, you're not feeling well? Got a cold? I hate when you're not feeling well. You're not feeling well a lot lately, but I know what that's like, so I can empathize with you. So definitely get your rest, Shill. Thank you for being a member for so long and for modding for me. I appreciate it. Thank you for donating memberships the other day as well. And thank you, John Foley, for being a member. John Foley's going to come back in, have some last thoughts. We're going to wrap this up. If you have any comments, questions, please let me know in the live chat. Feel free to leave comments in the
video commentary section after we're done. But let me make this very clear for people that don't know my channel. I don't put up with BS. I don't put up with the things you'll find on other YouTube channels of hateful, vitriolic comments and trollish comments. That is not acceptable here, nor will it be allowed. If you have a viewpoint, state it. If you want to support that viewpoint, feel free to do so. I am all for that. If you want to say, look, I hate Trump, blah, 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 that's perfectly fine. But if you come in and say, I hate Trump, and I'm sorry that the bullet missed, I'm not going to allow that on my channel. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. So, all right, John, welcome back.
Hello.
All right, so let's wrap this up, say what you got to say, and let's take her out.
Yeah, long story short, I think Destiny, he's messed up a little bit on this. He's not really been reasonable. You can't shoot at a political opponent, at somebody that you disagree with, on an intellectual basis. I don't care what the intellectual basis is. I don't care how threatening you think the person is. You can't shoot at that person, either intentionally or unintentionally kill other people in the crowd, and not expect a visceral and aggressive reaction in reverse. And in the United States, like it or not, the right are unified right now, the left are not. If you want to keep your political parity, this cannot happen. Because if the people with kids and families and the people that have traditional values decide that they're going to start raising up against those who are progressive and have progressive values, you will be routed. You can't win that fight.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a good way to end
the
it.
people on the extreme left, the people on the extreme right, have to grab those people that are the lunatics, that are the nutters, and they have to pull them back down to earth.
Yeah, and I think that applies to both sides.
If Trump, left and right, if Trump had been killed, if we'd have watched his head blown to bits on national television,
it would have been like John F. Kennedy all over again.
It would have been worse. You guys would be in
we would have been in Civil War. Civil War.
You'd have been in Civil War right now.
Yep. And the reality is that this has galvanized his base beyond anything that he could ever done solo. I mean, I'm going to predict, and we're going to leave it at this. I will predict, as of right now, there's no way Trump can lose. There's no way.
Also, that photo of Trump with blood running down the side of his face, the Secret Service trying to pull him down, the tails of the Star Spangled Banner in the back of the photo. That photo is iconic.
Iconic, historical. It is just, again, we witnessed history. We witnessed the people like similar that were around when John F. Kennedy got shot in Dallas. This is
he's become the man that was fighting off the people that were trying to protect him in order for him to get to his people, his base. He's become a hero. They've deified him.
100%. And again, let me be clear. I am not supporting Trump. I am not supporting Biden. I am critical of both of them. But as an objective commentator, I have to go where the facts are. And the facts are indicating that this has made Trump into a living legend, a living icon among his followers. There's no question about it. And you don't have to, you don't have to like the guy. You can hate him with a visceral passion, but to deny that this has galvanized his base to give him a solid win, and that you're right, John, that those photographs are historical and will be on magazine covers for decades, if not centuries to come. It's just denying reality at that point. And I don't, what's funny is I don't think either side is really denying that, though, John. Are they? I mean, I don't see anybody saying, "Oh, this hasn't helped Trump." I have not seen one person say that. Does anybody believe that? Have you seen anybody say that, John? Because I haven't.
I think the thing that's upset me more than anything is all of the people who have been rained against Trump, have opposed Trump, and have obviously viscerally hated Trump, have all stepped forward going, "Oh God, this violence doesn't exist in our political..." When actually what they meant to say was, "I'm sorry you missed."
Yeah, it's just insanity. All right, John, I do got to wrap it up, so I'm going to drop you out here so I can do my final thoughts. Okay?
No, you're good, but...
All right, thank you, John, for joining. I appreciate it. I will message you later, okay? All right. I just got to compose my thoughts here, and I want to get my final thoughts out. So, and yeah, John, you're more than welcome to wait back there. I'll bring you up when I'm done. All right, so in a nutshell here, look, I want to make it very clear. This is not a video to start any beef with Destiny. People say he gives what he gets, and this is not to attack him personally. This is me just doing commentary on what I've witnessed over the last 24 hours on things he said and opining my position on it. He doesn't have to agree. He doesn't have to disagree. I don't think he'll ever even see any of this because, again, I doubt if he remembers who I am. I really do. And would I ever talk to him about it? I don't know. I really don't. I'm not in that league that Destiny's in. He's in a whole different realm of YouTube than I'm in, right? I mean, him, the quartering, the woke podcast, what is it called? The whatever podcast, all that stuff. Those are just like top tier A-level type stuff. I'm not in that caliber, and I never will be, and never want to be. Even when the Non-Sequitur Show was popular, it was never at that kind of level. It was always at the BC kind of level, maybe even D. I don't know. But we made a name for ourselves, and we were doing really well until events transpired, obviously. But I'm not at that level that they're at. I've had guests on of that level and that caliber, but that's neither here nor there. So I don't know if I would really want to put myself out there to have a conversation with Destiny on this because of just the amount of influence that he has. Not my shtick. I don't need that. I don't need that blowback from his audience. Because I'm not looking for clicks and views as people may think that I am. I'm certainly not. I only want clicks and views for people that want to actually discuss the topic, and that's it, to get the message out and have people listen to the message and then respond to that. That's it. It's nothing for any more than that. And if I can make some money on the side doing that, absolutely. Why not? I don't make $1 million a year. I make very, very little a month on YouTube. Extremely little. I mean, extremely little. And so everything I do get really does help. But I'm not going to start a beef with Destiny to try to get people to watch me for that. It's not who I am. It's not anything I'm interested in doing. So I don't know if I would ever really have a conversation with him on it. However, I would watch the hell out of him in the quartering or somebody else have a conversation and then review. That I would definitely do. Or even still, I wouldn't even mind hosting him and somebody else again. I would moderate a debate with Destiny and somebody else. Yeah, absolutely. But again, he probably doesn't remember who I am. So I'm going to leave it at that. John, thank you for joining. I'm going to bring you back up in a second as I end this stream. Please leave a comment on the video. Let me know what you think. But again, bear in mind, I'm not like the typical YouTube channel that allows just crap talking in my comment section. It's just not appropriate. I don't want to hear any threats. I don't want to hear violence. I don't want to hear people saying that they're upset that Trump was, not assassinated yesterday. That's not appropriate. I'm sorry. It's just not. And so let me know what you think of my commentary, if I was fair. Let me know if you think that if you agree with me or disagree, but be civil. That's all I'm asking for in my comment section. Be civil. These are very contemptuous types of statements people make that I'm discussing. These are very polarizing issues, and I understand that. But let's rise above that. Let's be able to have honest and intellectual discourse, because people know my shtick is that when I see people on both sides being dishonest and not arguing intellectually honestly, I take that viscerally. And people do it to me all the time with my arguments. They just say, Steve, you're wrong by fiat. And then when I say, okay, let's discuss this in real time live, they run. And I'm not even being hyperbolic here. They will not discuss like my paper and my logical proofs in real time. Very few will. Very, very few will. And it's disconcerting to me, because if people did this to me and to Trump and to other people and just said, hey, look, I disagree with you, I want you assassinated, where would this country be? Many of us have had death threats. YouTubers get death threats. All of us have gotten death threats. Anybody who's put a comment out has probably got a death threat. There are things to take very seriously. Been there, done that. And I have no interest in ever going through that again. It's a hell of a feeling when you knowingly have people involved. I'm not going to get into the details, but I've had little death threats. Not
not to put myself, and I'm comparing myself to Trump. It's not like that. But I can understand the seriousness of these situations, and I don't think Destiny really is, because he's putting out to his audience that it was bad that the shooter missed, that he's trying to justify political assassination, and I'm sorry, no matter what, I just will never be able to support that. So, Destiny, I hope you change your course on this. I really do. I really hope that you walk this back and at least realize that you went a bit too far, and change your stance a little bit, and maybe you might recover. I don't know. But even still, I don't think has very far to. I don't think he's going to fall very far from this. I just don't think it's going to affect him that much either way. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for watching the Non-Sequitur Show. And maybe we might do a part 2 tonight or later on. We'll let you know. But like I said, please leave a like. Please leave a comment. If you want to donate to the channel, I would appreciate it as well. And with that, good night.